All right, hello YouTube. Welcome to I almost said the wrong thing. Dark Tower Palaver. I don't know why.
Off to a rocky start.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, well, we are here for episode 37 of Wizard and Glasses Book Club. And so yeah, let's go ahead and hit the intro and we can get started on the podcast side as well.
The Dark Tower by Stephen King. The man in black fled across the desert, and the gunslinger followed. Go then. There are other worlds than these. Death, but not for you, gunslinger. It's time we had our own palaver, I think, and it's going to take a while.
And yet, dauntless, the slug horn to my lips I set, and blew. Child Roland, to the Dark Tower came.
We are Ka-Tet, one from many. Let the palaver begin.
All right, hello and welcome to Dark Tower Palaver. This is the 37th book club for Wizard and Glass. We are now well beyond the pale for previous book clubs here.
Yeah.
We're breaking all new ground here, and yeah, we're within striking distance though. I was looking at the calendar on it, so this is our let's see, is it 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth to last one for this book? So I mean, as fast as this year is going, it'll be August before we know it.
Yeah.
And the serendipity that it's a 2 book club month in August. So we're going to be kicking off the next book very heavily. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's cool how that worked out. All right, yeah, let's of course, my name is Tad.
And I'm Peter.
And yeah, we're here for our 37th book club. Let me go ahead and get the intro stuff real quick. We don't have spoiler warnings for this episode. With the book clubs here, we stay where we're at or before. We don't jump ahead. Sometimes we have a spoiler section at the very end, but I don't think we have anything currently in our spoiler section. Of course, who knows what happens as the discussion goes on. But these are the safe episodes. If you are perhaps midway through book 6 right now, this would be a safe episode for you to listen to. If you're midway through book 3, on the other hand, you're a crazy fool. You should be leaving this episode right away. And then if you want to, of course, find us, you can find us on Apple Podcasting, stream us on Spotify, Amazon Music, or Audible. You can also find us on any traditional podcasting service of your choice. On any of those services, if you'd like to subscribe, rate, and review the show, we'd appreciate that. Then on the YouTube side, we are here at youtube.com/darktowerpalaver. And of course, over here, if you want to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications, that is the way to help the show and the algorithm gods that, of course, the North Central Positronics controls very tightly. And then
If we don't say that, they smite your internet.
yes, which actually happened again this week.
Did it really? Again?
Yeah. It's the freaking vermin in this neighborhood.
Yeah, Tad's got squirrels.
They chew on the wires, so
I don't understand. What do they get by chewing on the wire? Is it for their nest? Like they like it for their nest? Or
I have no idea, but the guy actually even showed me the picture of where it was at and chewed up. It was chewed up. So yeah, I need to get some. Hopefully the hawks come back to the neighborhood and just start taking the fuckers out.
You brought crows. Crows chase off hawks. See, get rid of the crows.
Nah.
The hawks come back. They kill the squirrels. All is right with the world.
No, I'll just release some snakes into the neighborhood.
Snakes aren't going to get all the squirrels.
Oh, sure they will. Or I'll just go get like a dozen cats from the whatever
That
thing.
is more likely to get squirrels.
Just
than-
release them out in the neighborhood.
Squirrels bully snakes.
Not if you get big enough snakes.
Ooh, we're talking like pythons or something here, huh?
Oh man, yeah.
Cat's
So
gonna go get an anaconda.
yes,
And release it in Utah.
indeed, one of the ones you could see from a helicopter.
Yeah.
Or I can go see what I can find from Congo.
I mean, they got one just down the street at the aquarium, so
Yeah.
just go steal that one. It's the great snake heist of 2026.
I mean, if I'm going to the aquarium, sir, you know what I'm taking.
I swear to God, you bring a penguin out of there, I'll kill you.
And then if you want to find the show notes, you can find that over at darktowerpalaver.com. We are in our final days of March Insanity. No speaking about what's going on there, although by the end of this episode, we probably could.
Yeah.
But if you want to find the show notes, you can do that at darktowerpalaver.com. If you go to darktowerpalaver.com/marchinsanity, you can see our March Insanity polls. And then, of course, if you want to support the show, you can do that at patreon.com/darktowerpalaver. With that, you get access to our Discord server. You can chat with us all the time, as well as monthly hangouts. That's for everyone at every level. Then at the highest level, you get to co-host a show with us. Then if you want to contact the show, Peter can let you know the ways to do that.
The best way to reach us is through email. It's show@darktowerpalaver.com. And then we got all our social medias. We got Threads and Instagram. It's Dark Tower Palaver, all one word, no spaces. And then we got our Blue Sky. It's at darktowerpalaver.bsky.social. And then we have Twitter. It's at darktowerpod. That's at darktowerpod. And then facebook.com/darktowerpalaver. And then check out our merchandise. It's tpublic.com/user/darktowerpalaver. Get yourself a hashtag Tad is terrible t-shirt, sticker, coffee mug, pillow.
Lies! Deception!
I mean,
I've got a button for
Tad's
it.
got a button now for whenever I call out the truth. He says it's lies, but it's not.
No, it's
We
lies.
all know you are terrible.
No, it's lies, sir. I have a halo.
No.
All right, so let's jump on in then. So we are currently we are now in the very final stages. We are going to be finishing up part 3 this episode. Part 3 is titled Come Reap, and this is this is the end of Roland's flashback here. About on a little over midway through, or probably about 3/4 of the way through the episode.
Yep.
We're going to be joining back up in the present day.
Yeah. Last
So-
episode was strictly Roland, Alain, and Cuthbert's battle with the tankers and Eyebolt Canyon. We saw nothing with Susan, so that was the whole episode last time. I went and just double-checked it just a little bit ago.
Yeah.
There was nothing with Susan. Last time we saw her, she had been captured by Rhea, Reynolds, and was heading towards town.
Yeah, indeed. And we are currently in chapter 10, which is called Beneath the Demon Moon 2. And we are starting off in subchapter 23. So, and what a subchapter to start off.
Here we
with.
go. It's gonna be rough. I'll just tell you that. Nothing was clear to Susan until she saw the farmer with the long red hair wearing a hat that didn't cover his lamb slaughter's eyes. She knew him from the lower market and thought she had even nodded to him as country folk do. He was standing by himself not far from the intersection of the Silk Ranch Road and the Great Road. He was just standing there in the rising moon. As she passed, he hurled his bundle of cornhusks at her, standing in the cart with her hands bound in front of her and her head lowered with a rope around her neck. Then everything was clear. Charyou Tree, he called, almost sweetly, uttering words of the old people she hadn't heard since childhood. Words that meant come reap. And something else, a secret hidden meaning from the root word char, which only meant death. As the dried shucks tumbled down around her boots, did she understand the secret very well. There would be no baby, or wedding in the distant land of Gilead, no hall in which she and Roland are joined under electric lights, no husband, no more nights of sweet love. All of that was over. The world had moved on, and all of that was over. That
And
so
we've had some allusions to this for
Yeah.
a few episodes now of what was coming, what was Rhea connecting with Cordelia, drinking of Cordelia as well.
exactly.
As well as we've had hints about the tragedy here pretty much since the first book in a lot of ways. Like we've had allusions to that this wasn't going to be even all the intro in this book wasn't necessarily telling us this is going to be a happy story.
Yeah, Roland remembering this almost made him pass out.
Yeah.
So it's like he almost had like forgotten it, and then like the thinny awoke it in him, and then he almost like grab him, he's gonna fall, like kind of thing. So
Yeah.
we know that this is not a happy ending.
Yeah.
But my note here, poor Susan, I can't imagine this feeling, and I know a lot of people have had this feeling of knowing their time is up, walking to their death, whatever.
Yeah.
But she's 16. No 16-year-old should ever have to have the realization that their time is up.
Yeah.
That's just heartbreaking, heart-wrenching, especially someone that we've spent so much time with in
Yeah.
this book and gotten to know and love. So
Yeah. 100%. My note here, I always assume the ginger in Roland's ball vision or a few chapters or episodes back was Brown from the first book, who's also a ginger.
Mm-hmm.
But then I always end up remembering as we move on here that it's this twat.
Yeah,
is
it's this guy.
who we're seeing. So
Yep.
I don't know why. It's just one of those like pesky memories that just will never depart my brain, where it's like whenever I see that the first time, it's just like, oh yeah, there's Brown. Like, because there's obviously some other things we see in that that is into, I mean, our past, but the future of what we're actually reading.
Mm-hmm.
So, stuff that I yeah, there's a few allusions to some stuff from the first couple books. So it's like, oh yeah, redhead. We've seen a redhead in this story.
It's Brown.
So, yeah, indeed. So no, that is definitely a misconception that I cannot shake from my brain for some dumb reason. So
I have one with the sand. It's the gas station story that Stu tells to Fran.
Oh yeah.
About,
what do you think? It's Elvis?
I always think it's Elvis. Every single time I'm like, oh, fuck, it's Elvis. And
Yeah,
then
no,
and then it's Morrison. I'm like, right.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Yeah, no, I guessed it was Elvis because I had the same thought. I don't know if it's just because it's the whole like, pre-internet meme of, Elvis is still alive type stuff that was like fodder for all kinds of stuff over the years, or what it was. But yeah, it took me,
especially the tabloids, man.
Yeah, the tabloids and stuff. So it took me a few chunks of rereads before I finally like, locked it in my memory of like, oh yeah, no, it's Jim Morrison, not Elvis. So
that would always, it's still to this day, I've read it 7 times and it's still every single time it's like, wait, no, it's not him.
Yeah,
it's the other one.
Yeah, indeed.
It doesn't help that I'm not that huge of a Doors fan like you are.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So going on, she knew she had been stood in the back of the cart by the last surviving coffin hunter, and he looped a noose over her neck for, he told her not to try to sit, and that he had no desire to choke her, and if the wagon bumped and she fell, he said he would keep the knot loose, but if she tries to sit, then he was going to give her a pension. Her orders, he said. She's in charge now. Susan thought how Rhea was in charge despite the loss of the ball and what it had done to Rhea physically and mentally. It had not taken her power. Rhea still had power over the men who could have broken her over one knee like a stick of kindling.
Which I don't think that's an exaggeration either.
No.
With like the basically we've been told she basically looks like a skeleton with skin. Mm-hmm. So it's like, yeah, it wouldn't be much to just destroy this creature.
Yeah, she struggled getting from the cart to Cordelia's window.
Yeah.
Like the cart was parked in the yard and she barely made it to the window. That's how frail and weak she is. Like, yeah. You're not exaggerating here.
Yeah.
Like Holocaust victim.
Yeah, that's always what I picture. Yeah, exactly. Like skeleton with skin. Like that's kind of what what I picture toward the end of the story. Obviously, the very beginning, I picture a little bit different. But yeah, so I don't think that's an exaggeration to say they could just snap her like a twig.
Like over one, you just
probably don't even need a knee. To be honest,
that's probably not. Just do like the old Bane on Batman. It was break it. So going on, there were more men with them now, some in front riding with Reimer, and even more behind with Reynolds, who was holding the rope to her to her noose in his tattooed hand. She didn't know these men or how they were summoned. Rhea had taken this rapidly growing party north and then turned southwest on the old Silk Ranch Road, which wound back toward town. On the eastern edge of Hambry, it rejoined the Great Road. Even in Susan's dazed state, she realized how slowly Rhea was moving the party. She even reined in the pony, pulling the cart at least until the afternoon's gold had gone. When they had passed the farmer, did Susan realize Rhea had been waiting for the moon. With no gods to pray to, Susan prayed to her father. And I took a quote here from the book. Susan's prayer here, I felt like it had to be quoted exactly. Da, if these there, help me to be strong as I can be, and help me hold to him, to the memory of him. Help me to hold to myself as well, not for rescue, not for salvation, but just so as not to give them the satisfaction of seeing my pain and my fear. And him, help him as well. And then that all part was internal. This is her speaking out loud. Help keep him safe, she whispered. Keep my love safe. Take my love safe to where he goes. Give him joy in who he sees, and make him a cause of joy in those who see him. Praying, dearie? The old woman asked without turning on the seat. Her croaked voice oozed false compassion. Aye, ye do well to make things right with the powers, while ye still can, before the spirits burned right out your throat. She threw back her head and cackled. The staggering remains of her broom straw hair flying out orange in the light of the bloated moon.
Yeah. One thing I forgot to note, but with the afternoon's gold had gone, so our ticking clock is continuing here.
There's
So,
the it's gone.
yeah.
All clocks hit 0, right?
Yeah, pretty much. So Wild Rhea has such power over people still. I know she didn't particularly get her influence from the ball, but her role always seemed to have some kind of esteem, but mostly as like an outsider. Like I feel like I don't know. I feel like again they kind of like I feel like she was just kind of a tool. Like so I don't think she had like a lot of like power and sway over the town and stuff. You know, like that held her back from like doing shit to Susan. Right? Is like because the mayor was the real power and stuff.
Right.
So it's like ultimately I don't know. And then like I said, like having the ball removed that Susan thinks like I don't even think that has anything to do with it because I don't think the ball ever brought her power over the town. I think she's always just been kind of like an outhouse where it's just like it's a necessary tool that you use for certain things, but it's like it's kind of outside. It's not part of the inner circle or anything.
Right.
So, but I suppose all the trauma the town has gone through in the last day or so has allowed her to snake more into the inner part of the town, which we obviously saw a few episodes back where you know she was in Reimer's office or because Reimer moved into. This is
this is Reimer's brother.
But she was in Reimer's office, right? Or was it the mayor's office?
Reimer's room. Reimer's room, like his quarters, not just like an office, like his actual bed chambers with a desk there for like office dwellings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Jonas and Coral were in the mayor's room.
Yeah, that's right.
So she was seated high, but I think what I agree with you here that it's kind of fascinating to see Rhea's power over people, but I think a large part of it is that there's just a vacuum right now in Magus caused by the sheriff's dead.
Yeah.
The mayor's dead, the chancellor's dead.
Yeah.
And even two of the leader of the big coffin hunters is gone. Even Jonas is gone.
Yeah.
Then you look at it, Fran Lingo, the head of the Horsemen's Association, is dead.
Yeah.
Like literally it's like if the president, vice president, and then like
well, also the treachery too.
The next like 4 are gone.
Because you have a good chunk of the town that was part of the treachery. So now that that's blown up, like I feel like that's you've completely shattered every like semblances of normalcy.
All you have left is like the junior, congressman from Rhode Island who's been in office for 3 months.
Yeah,
that's what you have left. That's Reynolds, basically. Is like and even then he's still kind of an outsider. So it's like, well, who do we turn to? Who's a source of authority?
Yeah.
The Coos, the witch. Yeah. She's always been here. She knows what's best.
Yeah.
And with everything that's happened, and I like what you said here, the trauma of the town. I think that especially with them being so superstitious.
Yeah.
And everything. You have to remember, Sitco exploded early this morning. Like this is sunset,
and we're the cusp of going into winter. Like this is the harvest and stuff. So it's this is when like an agrarian society would be the most probably superstitious because like your entire existence is like kind of on the line. So you're kind of almost looking for portents and signs to like
it's to
good
the
or
point,
bad omens.
Yeah, it's to the point where they stop having sex. Like we're talking about blue collar men stopping that for weeks leading up to Reap Night and everything. On the eve of Reap Night, you have murder. The mayor, the chancellor, and then the people who are caught, who they were told did the murders, escaped, leaving the sheriff and the number 1 deputy dead.
Yeah.
There's chaos abounds, and you have to feel superstitious because, like, not only does that happen, but then you have Sitco exploding, which, to them, has to feel like the end of the world.
Yeah.
Like the Armageddon is happening because like they don't know what a gas explosion is at an oil field.
Yeah.
Me and you, that happens. We're like, oh shit, that's tragic. That's terrible. I hope no one died. That's my thought. I don't know about you. You're horrible. So
I mean, even though we might register it, but at the same time, like there's one up in the north end of the valley here, and if that thing ever went off, like we probably wouldn't be able to register what was actually going on either.
No, we'd be like, what's going on? And that's us in this modern age who have those ideas and know what happens if a oil refinery catches on fire and explodes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Most of them, the biggest explosion they've ever seen is a fucking firework.
Yeah. Maybe a gun.
Maybe a gun, maybe a fire, whichever you would class, dealer's choice there.
Yeah, whichever's bigger, yeah.
So just to see, like, they got nothing to turn to except Rhea. That's basically, it's kind of interesting. I've never thought about it before until your statement right here is like, Yeah, that's all they got left.
Yeah.
They've literally wiped out everything, whether it's, Jonas and his killings and then Roland and his killings. The two of them combined wiped out the power
and
structure.
Susan's killings.
I mean, that's because she was rescuing Roland, right?
I know, but yeah, you got to throw her in though. Because she
yeah.
did kill one. Probably
Alain and Cuthbert as well killed people.
Yeah, but she probably killed the one that would have probably had the best influence, like
the
potentially
sheriff.
with the sheriff, right?
Yeah.
Like he probably would have been the one that could have filled the void a little bit.
Yeah.
The one thing I would say here with filling that void is it's very much Mrs. Carmody level stuff.
All of a sudden, authority goes out the window, and what do you have left? Well, you have the one person speaking the loudest.
Yeah, and very, or what would you call it, like, influentially, like being able to say the right things, kind of tickle people's ears and stuff. So,
exactly.
Yeah. And then Rhea is slowing it all down so the timing is right, be it for the moon or to mimic the crescendo of the party that was supposed to be. That's kind of what I'm pulling out of that, right? With like the fact that she is being so slow and meticulous. Like they could probably get out and walk faster than what they're actually going.
So yeah,
here.
she's like reining in the pony to keep the cart going really slow.
Yeah.
Because she wants the moon to rise.
Yeah.
She wants the full production.
Yeah, and I wonder if it's because she's basically trying to time this to where the event they're heading to will go off about the time they would be normally doing like their, like I said, the crescendo of the parties and the celebration. Like if the fairs had gone on and not all the shit hadn't happened the last couple of days, the moment of like kind of explosion for whatever, like the culmination.
It is the bonfire. That is the end of the Reap Festival for them. They've talked about it earlier.
Yeah,
a few episodes back.
And so she's timing it.
She's timing it to where
that.
the bonfire normally would go off.
Which
You're right.
is great manipulation too.
Oh, 100%.
Right? Like just with all the normalcy out the window, if you can bring that small bit of normalcy, like I don't know, it's just something, right? Like it reminds me of like after 9/11, it's like was it a week or two before they finally let late night get back on, and it was like that was just a small sliver of like returning to normalcy.
I remember one of the first things that I watched after 9/11 that wasn't news or something or reports or reruns, because that's all we had, was the first time that wrestling came back on.
Yeah,
and they were like, we're one of the first things. We want to get back to normal.
Yeah, because sports was because they didn't end up cancel, or did they cancel like football? That because there's one thing they did, and there's one thing they was it JFK they didn't cancel, so they did cancel 9/11 back. They moved it back a week.
I think they did postpone it a week if I remember right, because it happened on a Tuesday.
Yeah,
so we should have had games that following Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So that was before Thursday Night Football.
Yeah, I don't think they were Saturday either. It would have just been Sunday.
College.
Oh yeah,
college.
But I think that was the thing.
Because all the flights were still grounded.
Yeah,
you couldn't get to your opponent. Like you couldn't get there. You couldn't fly to like if the 49ers, San Francisco 49ers were playing Miami, they couldn't fly to Miami. So
yeah.
If I remember right, I think they did.
Yeah, but I think that like there was like the thing I'd always heard was they didn't end up canceling any NFL games for the JFK assassination, and that was like kind of a black mark on the league.
Yeah.
So I think that was a big part of the decision making of like cancel. So yeah, overall there was a lot of normalcy that kind of disappeared, and I remember that being kind of a cultural touch point when they actually like let late night go back on. Like I said, it was almost 2 weeks later, but it's like
the first NFL game after 9/11 was September 23rd. So,
yeah. So, and then my next note, praying for strength and not for salvation is brutal. But it shows that she's mature beyond her years. She's not, tied to some fairy tale notion of a last second rescue. She just wants, strength to face her end. Like, again, you mentioned it earlier. She's 16. This is not like something like, I mean, even in this world that they're in, like I feel like you'd probably have people in their 20s and 30s that wouldn't have this kind of like this level of maturity. So, definitely.
I mean, we've seen it with people. There have been people that have died in this that went unbelieving to their death, like still couldn't believe that it was their time. That's not acceptance. That's just it's not my time. I can't die. This isn't real. Kind of thing.
Yeah,
Susan here is just like, yep, it's my time.
Yeah.
My last note here, I can't wait to see this put to film. It is such a haunting idea that Rhea's having her arrive with the moonrise and just how that moon is going to look, because you've brought it up several times throughout this course of this book. The idea of a changing face in the moon is honestly, it's kind of terrifying when you think about it.
Yeah.
And then like we've had it a couple times where it's been different colors and it's looked sinister and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And
which again is another one of those things that's kind of tells us, back in the first time I read this, I was trying to figure out if this is just post-apocalyptic Earth.
Yeah.
And it's like, as on multiple rereads, there's different things where you point out, like, oh, no, that would tell you it's not Earth. Because the reason the moon's face would change is essentially because the moon doesn't match the orbit of, like, our moon.
The rotation. Yeah.
The rotation matches the rotation of the Earth. So basically, we only ever see one side of
we never see the dark side of the moon.
We've never seen it like from Earth. I mean,
yeah.
Satellites or whatever. But it's like, and that's that. So whereas with, like, but if you did have one that had a different rotation, there would legitimately be faces, or like it's just like,
not just phases, but it would be different parts of the moon that you would be seeing throughout the year, because it's rotating differently than our planet.
And it's just like stars, where it's like you see a couple stars and you go, that looks like a bowl, even though it's just like 3 stars that are kind of like whatever. But it's like, it would be the same thing, right? People would come up with, there's a face, there's a
crater there and a gash there, that's an eyebrow.
Yeah, exactly.
An eye and an eyebrow over the top of it. It's like,
so it's another hint that it's not
our... If you squint your eyes really far, you can see it.
I mean, all that is it astrology or whatever it is when they pick out all the
astronomy,
whatever it is, where they look at like the stars, like the stars,
study
constellations, like that stuff. I'm like, man, you have to really be either drunk or you have to have a really, really active imagination, because it's just like, oh, here's 3 dots. Let's call that a belt. It's like, oh, okay. That kind of doesn't make sense. But all right, so let's jump on over to subchapter 24. Are you looking
astronomy?
So I got it right. Okay. Yeah. Or no, Did I say astronomy?
I think I said astrology. Either way, it's astronomy.
Yeah. All right. So subchapter 24. So their horses came to the shout of Roland. They stood near the boys and whinnied their displeasure whenever the wind dropped low enough for them to get a whiff of the smoke from the canyon. Roland paid no attention to the horses or the smoke. His eyes were fixed on the bag slung over Alain's shoulder. It was awake again, and it was pulsing like a firefly. Roland asked for it. Alain tried to object, but Roland forcibly told him to hand it over. Alain looked at Cuthbert, who nodded. He barely removed it from his shoulder when Roland grabbed it and pulled it out. It glowed fiercely, a pink demon moon to match the orange one in the sky. The thinny whined in the distance. So yeah, that's a fun.
Yeah,
some fun imagery there. And yeah, I have to imagine the smell of burning flesh isn't all that pleasant for man or horse. Because we got to remember that, right? There were a number of people burning alive there, so it's like this isn't just smoke on the air. This is like going to be quite a repugnant smell.
It took me a second to realize what you had written when I was going back through and doing my notes and everything. I was like, burning flesh, like they didn't burn, they melted, like in the thinny, like they melted. And then I remembered the fire, and I'm like,
and all the ones that were running away,
well. You also have the ones that are melting in the thinny. I can't imagine that smells good.
A pleasant smell,
Like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, when you melt stuff, it doesn't smell good.
Yeah.
So you got a noxious odor between all of that,
Plus you may still have the smell of the freaking oil shit.
That's not that far away.
Yeah, so like all in all, it's probably not a very pleasant smelling thing. I'm guessing horse manure might be some perfume at this point.
Probably.
What else is on the air here? And not just all crazy horse people either. To normal people. And my next note, the enemy is dispatched, but I agree with Alain. Is this really the best idea to be fucking with this thing after what we saw last time?
And right there. Like right there, like that's my note. Is no, especially it's not the best idea, especially that close to the thinny. We know what the thinny does to them. 2 of them have almost died.
Yeah,
getting close to the thinny.
Cuthbert still has a naked toe because of it.
Right, and so it's like, no, that is the worst thing you could do right now.
Plus, what if those played off each other? What if the thinny and the ball just kind of like, force multiplied each other.
I'm more evil. No, I'm more evil. I'll show you who's more evil, and they take it out on the boys.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like the true knot in the Overlook.
I'll show you who's more evil.
So Cuthbert told Alain not to look directly at it for his father's sake. Roland looked into the ball and it turned his face pink, drowning his eyes. In the ball, he saw her, Susan, horse drover's daughter, lovely girl in the window. She was standing in the back of Rhea's cart. Reynolds rode behind her, holding the end of a rope that was noosed around her neck. The cart ran toward Greenheart with the speed of a funeral procession. The streets were lined with people, of whom the farmer with the lamb slaughter's eyes was only the first. All of Hambry and Magus, who had been robbed of their fare, were now given an ancient dark attraction as a substitute. Charyou Tree, come reap. Death for you, life for our crops. So, Yeah. Bert's warning about looking at it right before Roland looks at it is a good way to build tension and kind of reminds us of the danger that poses to our boys, right?
Yeah.
Like, just from King's perspective, like this is a good storytelling mechanism to kind of, not that we're gonna forget, because I mean we've waited longer since the last little bit than like your average reader's going to. So it's like, but it is a good I'm just pointing out the storytelling aspect there of King doing a good job of just being like, yeah, no, like let's not lose sight of the fact that staring into this ball is probably very, very dangerous.
Yeah.
So also, do you think Bert's warning is specifically to Alain because of the touch? Like the Thinny earlier in the book, it seemed to impact him a smidge more, and I'm sure the ball is similar, or is it like the Shining and it could actually draw more power from Alain?
I think it's more of that he just doesn't want both of them to get trapped too. Like, if Roland's looking, don't get trapped. I can see Cuthbert being worried that they all get sucked in and then they're all just, dead lights. What happens to them then?
Yeah.
Someone's got to keep their head. Someone's got to keep,
Yeah.
away from that horrible thing. And
Yeah. But I do kind of like the idea of it being like The Shining, though, with the Overlook getting like, almost force multiplier power from Danny. And it's like, because that makes me wonder, has the ball been given a lot more power during this story? Because Rhea would have been powerful, right? As a conjurer and that kind of stuff, right? It's like,
I mean, I think it depends on what you're talking about with the power, because like, as powerful as Alain is with the touch, we know how powerful Roland is. We know what he is. We know that he is of the line of Eld, not a third cousin twice removed kind of thing like Cuthbert and Alain kind of seem to be. He is like a direct descendant kind of thing. So I wonder if that's why the ball chose him.
But if it's psychic power, though, is all I'm saying. Like, I wonder if it could force multiply through Alain and actually become more powerful. I mean, Roland, it's obviously victimizing Roland right now.
Right.
But it's like, I'm guessing that, again, and this isn't in the text necessarily, but it's like, if it's like the Overlook that almost got powered up by Danny more because Danny was so powerful, it's like, is Alain having that psychic ability going to just basically give it some more gas in the tank?
I mean,
to be more dangerous.
It very well could be. I mean, spoiler alert, we see the ball here in the rest of the subchapter, and it's doing stuff that it's never done before, and Alain's standing right there.
Yeah. Not to mention the Thinny. Who knows what kind of fucking
power that is?
I mean, it has psychic ability.
Obviously, it has psychic. I was about to say, obviously, it has psychic ability. Come on, walk on in. No big deal. Wait, did that goo just talk?
Yeah.
In my head.
Yeah, pretty much. And then, this is tough to watch. Period. But to watch it through Roland's eyes.
You don't want to. You don't.
I almost said Oland there. I don't know why I'm suddenly talking like a fucking Billy Bumbler.
I mean, they're the best. So.
But yeah, it's like you've mentioned multiple times. Is sometimes it's the reaction more so than the actual event itself. It's someone that cares about that person or animal or whatever, right? That kind of thing.
That's what I've said it before. That's what gets my wife, and now it's starting to really affect me. It's like when I see that, it's just like. Oh, that hurts a little bit more. That hurts a little bit more watching the guy when his dog dies versus watching the dog dies.
Yeah, or the kid that has to shoot his dog.
Yes.
In Old Yeller.
Yeah.
So, and honestly, it'd be risky, but what if Flanagan, if I were Flanagan, I'd consider playing this all through the ball, so it'd be slightly tinted in pink and totally silent. That side of it's silent, because you probably maybe hear Roland reacting and stuff, and like if you wanted to like point out that they're chanting Charyou Tree, like you could have him like murmur it as he's seeing what they're saying, because hopefully people can kind of like see it in the mouth. But if not, I'm just, because like there's two parts of that. One, how much more sinister would that be to see it all through that, but also you're going to have Roland's voice there with the audience the entire time. But secondly, does that also help kind of give you a step back where it's a little bit more removed and maybe it's a little bit less traumatic for the audience? Because I mean, I know you have Roland's reaction, but it's like, it's kind of like the whole, like, the photographers that think that like no matter what traumatic thing they have, if they're seeing it through their lens, even if they're standing right there, like there's just something that helps like break that or create a barrier in their brain. And it's like, so is that something that you can almost help like I mean, we've seen it throughout the years where there'll be something in an adaptation where they tone it down just a smidge just to like, because my God, man, and so
I could see that, but I think I know Flanagan, and I think that he does not tone things down. Melting scene in Fall of the House of Usher. Crooked Neck Lady in Haunting of Hill House.
Yeah, bent neck lady.
Bent Neck Lady, thank you. It has
Put some respect on that.
It has been a minute since I've watched it, but I'm just saying I don't think that he is one for. Let's tone this down. What I would like to see,
But
is,
again, he would also be throwing. It's almost like a double whammy. You're like toning it down, but then with having Roland and you basically his reaction through the entire thing, like that would almost. I don't even know. Was that making it worse?
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Is like if you want to have both, I think you have Roland go into the vault and be
there. Yeah,
I think that's what you do. Is that you have that pink glow and stuff like that, like you're saying, because there's Roland, and maybe. I hate to say this because this makes me a terrible person, but maybe Susan senses his presence.
Yeah.
Because we'll get there, but with what happens and what her last words are.
Yeah. No, 100%. Yeah. I don't know. It's just like I said, it would be a stylistic choice for sure. But like I said, it would almost be very haunting because like to see something this tragic again. There's like multiple facets to it. Like in some ways you're toning it down, but in some ways you're also amping up because you'd be seeing it all through Roland's eyes, very like
we talked about that's worse because you're watching Roland watch it.
Yeah, but then
everything.
Like how haunting would it be just like to watching this like fucking dead-eyed psycho fucking crowd and you can't hear them, you just see them like chanting. I don't know. There's just almost something like it almost make it more surreal where it's just like
it's very unnerving.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, very unnerving. So, yeah, that's that. I don't know that could be a thing, but no, what you're saying too, that could be very brutal as well. So a whisper ran through the crowd, and she began to be pelted by corn husks, then with rotten tomatoes. Her swollen but still lovely face raised up and kept looking straight ahead. They whispered Charyou Tree. Roland could not hear them, but he could see the words on their lips. He saw Stanley Ruiz, Petty the Trotter, Gert Moggins. What a goddamn name is that? Gert Moggins. And the leg broke Deputy Frank Claypool, which I would also pause to say old Frank here might be the person of authority at this point, right?
Yeah, he's kind of a bumbling fool, isn't he?
Yeah, but he'd be the only law enforcement left,
exactly.
Right? So
we don't have anyone from the Horsemen's Association left, basically. All the leadership is dead.
Yeah.
The Big Coffin Hunter's the only one that's left is Reynolds, and he's bowing to Rhea.
Yeah.
Do you really think that...
I feel like he's way more of an outsider, too. Because, like, I think Jonas let the other two still remain outsiders while he tried to cozy up with the power structure a bit. And, like, I know they all got, like, deputized to an extent.
At the end, yeah.
You know, but, like, ultimately, like, I feel like we only ever except for like obviously after the Traveler's Rest when like the sheriff put them all in a room and stuff. Beyond that, I feel like you don't see Clay and DePape like interacting with like the highfalutin people of town, whereas Jonas was like there, right?
Jonas was definitely with like the mayor, the chancellor, the sheriff.
Yeah, he was at the dinner and stuff like that. So,
but Reynolds and
they were out
and DePape were not
doing hard work and stuff. So I just kind of think that like I'm not even sure if he would be able to pull any kind of like authority necessarily, because I think he would still be seen as such an outsider where it's just like
I mean, he's a big coffin hunter, but how much authority does he really have?
Yeah, exactly. Whereas
if it was Jonas,
if it were Jonas, I think he would probably have full control if he wanted it. So yeah, but yeah, like again though, I think that old Frank here might be, you know, being an actual townie and being like the only law enforcement alive. He's probably
it's him and Reimer's brother.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
I think that's all you got.
And Reimer's brother would have to like play some political moves probably to like try to work his way into something.
Yeah.
Whereas like Frank here could just be like, I'm the only one left. I'm basically the de facto sheriff. And like
I bet you also it's just kind of a what's the right word? Way of thinking for them that no, he's got a leg broke. Like we can't take him seriously.
Could be.
You know, that kind of thing, like he's not able-bodied, you know, so we can't really like have him be an authority.
Yeah.
You know, he can't seem weak.
Yeah.
For this kind of area, this, you know,
but
the way this kind of works.
This is kind of extenuating circumstances, though. People aren't necessarily, you know, they're.
Yeah.
I think they're also starved for stuff that like he might be that like outside of like Rhea that's obviously taking command.
Yeah.
I think that like let's just say fast forward a week. You know, like the way this breaks out is I bet you it comes down to old dumbass Frank here and Reimer's brother are probably the two that are actually going to, one of the two is going to end up the mayor
in charge. Yeah.
So, yeah, and then Jamie McCann, who is this year's replad, Roland saw 100 people he had known and mostly liked. Now they pelted Susan with rotten vegetables as she stood bound. The cart reached for the green heart with its lanterns and silent carousel where no children laughed. The crowd was now chanting the two words, and they parted, and Roland saw a pyramid of wood and of an unlit bonfire. It was stacked with stuffy guys, but there was a single vacancy in it. Now a woman emerged from the crowd wearing a black dress and holding a pail, and she had a brand of ash on her cheek. So I remember knowing that this was not going to end well, but my hope the first time is that he would go back to town after this is over and slaughter every man, woman, and child. Like Toll, basically. Just give me proto Toll. And that was kind of like the first time I read this, that was my hope. It's just like Roland was just going to fucking massacre. And whether Alain and Cuthbert helped or not, I didn't fucking care. I'm like, just massacre every motherfucker in this town. Like, and, and I'm getting pretty angered up the first time reading this. So I'm like, and I want to see like the children killed in front of their parents and then kill the parents second type
Good
thing.
Lord.
Like, that's the kind of stuff I'm looking for there. So
Again, Tad is terrible. I did actually think the same thing. I thought they were all dead too. I didn't think there was any chance that Roland lets this slide.
yeah, that was
Not the Roland we know.
no, yeah, exactly, and that's where I'm like, oh, we're gonna get like a kind of an echo. For us, it'd be an echo, but for the story, it's the original of Toll type thing. So, and then this is going to be very effective because likely Flanagan will spend plenty of time building some of these characters and getting us viewers to even like them as well. So I think that's like the real trick. 'Cause I feel like I'm not going to like necessarily badmouth Stephen King, but like I don't think that we've spent a lot of time with a lot of these characters. So even some of the ones he mentions here is like we know some of them, but it's like we haven't spent enough time with them in this book. King hasn't like necessarily spent time to like truly let us get to know them, whereas like I think Flanagan will have an easier time at that.
I think it's just going to be interesting to try and figure out how you get to like these characters when we don't know who's in on the corruption and the betrayal and the
you'd have to do it before that for sure.
That's where it comes down to is like we're talking about, does Petty the Trotter have any part of this? Probably not. Can we establish that? Do we waste time establishing that, or do we not worry about that?
No, but I just wonder if, like, like with just some of these random faces that you might see in the crowd, do you just throw like a 2 to 3 minute scene in somewhere early in the series where you see this person like caring for their child, or just do stuff to like,
Cuthbert's walking down the street and they come up and talk to him for a minute.
Yeah, some of the kindnesses that we kind of get allusions to with like the boys and stuff. Like do that with, and and honestly,
right before Shimi gives him like the note.
Yeah, and Flanagan has a cheat code of the Flanagan family. You plug some of the Flanagan family in, and then just those faces you already have a built-in connection to as well. So it's like, I just kind of think that, like, and again, it's not like you have to spend a shitload of time. We're not going to spend like a whole episode just bouncing around the Hambry and ignoring Roland and them. Not that, but it's just like,
there's different ways that you could do that too, because Rhea looks through the glass, and if you want to show that, there's a way that you could introduce some of these people, and you can be like, that's the bitch that licks corners.
Yeah.
That's the kid who blew up the dog.
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing. And then they're throwing tomatoes at Susan.
Yeah.
And you're just like, you little shits.
Yeah. So I think that Flanagan, this is going to be effective, I think. So Roland begins to shriek the words no over and over. The ball flashed brighter with every repetition of the word, as if it grew more powerful with his agony. With each flash, Cuthbert and Alain could see Roland's skull beneath his skin.
Oof.
I don't know if I've ever really locked in on that visual before. So that is a visual there, and I can imagine it's very pink and stuff too. So like that's haunting. Alain said that they had to take it away. It was killing him. Cuthbert nodded and stepped forward to grab the ball, but could not take it from Roland. His hand seemed to be welded to it. Bert yelled at Alain to hit him, and then hit him again. He had to. Alain did, but Roland didn't even rock back. He just kept crying the one word over and over, the ball flashing faster and faster, eating its way into him through the wounds. The wound it had opened, sucking his grief like blood. So, and that's the end of the subchapter.
Jeez.
So, which I also had to go back there and track like what wound, because there's no other. That's the first mention of the wound, where it said the wound it did. So I went back to the subchapter. I'm like, did I miss overlook it somehow? But no, like that's our first mention that it's created a wound, which we know it did that to Rhea and stuff. But like, so it's doing that to Roland again. This is a very fast pace that this is happening. Right, Rhea had it for months. for it to do what it did to her. And so for it to, cause like a wound on him,
Well, it's not a physical wound. Eating its way into him, though, through the wounds that it opened, sucking his grief like blood. So
yeah.
it's
But I wonder if we're
wounds.
actually going to see like some of the
Maybe like some Reagan from The Exorcist kind of.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of envisioning is potentially like not like crazy like he's going to start decaying like fucking Rhea because again that's long term, but it's like are we going to get exactly Reagan's that's a great call there for sure. So
little sores and stuff like that. It looks sickly and stuff.
Yeah, because then you can carry that through the rest of the way through the flashback story as well, where it's like show the effects of the ball and stuff, like because then that just adds the drama of like what did it do to him type thing. So the battle, no scars, but the ball just put some scars on his ass. Not maybe not scars like long-term scars, but like we get
put some wounds on him.
Yeah, put some wounds on him. So is Baraki, right? Said sorry, the names are still off. So said I wanted to see Roland do a toll here too. Yeah. So seems like that was a pretty universal thought there. But yeah, seeing Roland's skull through his skin is very haunting. Again, that's just like I don't think I've ever really like fully locked onto that vision. There's just so much going on here that it's easy to just when you're just breezing through the series in a normal read, it's easy to lose some of these things.
I will admit one of the things that I struggle with when King does this back and forth between two stories at the same time. One of the things that happens to me sometimes, especially on my first read through, is that come on, I want to get back to the other. Come on, hurry up. So a lot of times it's like speed reading when I was reading, speed listening, like not really that paying attention. Like come on, kind of thing. So these deep dives are really helping me see some of the stuff like this.
Yeah,
because this is one of those ones. Like, okay, that's great. Roland's look at the ball. Okay, come on. What's happening with Susan? What the fuck? Especially my first time reading, it's just like like that rush to what happens next for me.
Yeah, 100%. And hitting him and not having him even react or move is also pretty scary.
Yeah, that's
because that's like inhuman, right? That's like that Reagan. That's very Exorcist-ish in a lot of ways, where it's just like that's beyond nature.
You punch someone in the face and they don't even rock back at all. They don't react.
Yeah.
Like that's inhuman almost. Like that's like I punched a cyborg kind of shit.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Like there's a few times in like Star Trek I've been watching The Next Generation where people like hit Data and shit and there's no reaction. It's like because he's an android.
It's like when they punched Arnold in Terminator.
Yeah, exactly. Those kind of things.
Like,
it's like
no.
But for that to be a skin and blood, flesh and blood person, like that's again, there's like a supernatural element to that.
Right.
It's like very
The other thing also with my note here is, especially since we've already established that worked earlier. Alain punched Roland earlier when he was in the pink ball, right in the forehead, remember?
Yeah.
And that knocked him out of it.
Yeah.
That brought him out of it. So it's like, okay, we've already established this worked just a few subchapters ago.
Yeah.
And here it is, not working. So the ante has been upped.
Yeah. And then, Baraki said, just like in Toll, where Roland, and going back to my idea of like Flanagan connecting us to people, where Roland kind of connected with the one kid who told him where he might get a room and a burger, and then the other kid bullied him. That kid was slaughtered with the rest, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. Like, if Flanagan is again, and I think I'm not being critical with King because like King has obviously such a huge story to tell here, like, and it's already a long book. We don't necessarily need to like add in more, whatever. But I do think that's stuff that Flanagan can easily do, where it's just like, hey, whereas King has to spend a lot of time in internal monologue, I don't. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of the scene where now we're gonna suddenly get like, caught up with like. And
this is the guy that we see in the Traveler's Rest that's at the bar who turns around and gets the fuck out of there because he's in the middle of Cuthbert and DePape.
Yeah.
That's that guy. We're going to be able to establish these people more than just, that's so-and-so, that's so-and-so, that's so-and-so, and us book readers are going, who the fuck's that?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know who that is. Like, great. King's saying that, Roland liked them and met them and everything and liked most of them, but I didn't.
But Flanagan can like flesh that out more to where we as the audience are like, oh God, I really like that character, like whatever. They're really nice to Susan. Or,
show us an opening scene where they're harvesting apples and get to know someone there,
while they're doing the counting.
You
can get to know some people doing the counting.
Exactly.
Also, imagine if you had someone like give some sort of a fuck you to Cordelia in some way early on when she's being a cunt. That would be. There's how you win the audience over. Imagine just someone just
And
like.
then they're there doing this to Susan.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It's like let's build it up to the point where and it doesn't have to be like when Cordelia's going nuts like here at the end of the story, but early on at some point, if she's like freaking out or something, somebody's like, you need to chill out or sticks up for Susan in some way in one of those like few public things that they have, those public tips.
Right.
Like have someone kind of like almost stand up for Susan and be like, you need to like calm down, lady. Like
Like,
leave
what's
her
your
alone.
problem?
Yeah. Something like that. And then turn around now at the end of the season and we see that person here in the crowd, that kind of stuff.
Ooh,
so
that would, yeah.
yeah. And then again, if you read the wound as being more like literal, kind of like gives me the idea that this is like more of a nuclear blast versus a slow burning fire that consumed Rhea over months. Cause like, again, Rhea wasn't immediately, showing those physical signs. She was taken mentally pretty quickly. So is Jonas, right? But it's like if we actually start to see like Reagan types like things like that shows like the different level of power we're dealing with here.
Right.
Like holy shit, man. Like it took I think it took at least a month or so for Rhea to really start to show like physical signs. There was the chapter where we talked about like Musty not wanting to be around her anymore.
Yeah, to me, it never took it as like she has like open sores, like she has scurvy or something like that. Like because that's what scurvy does. Is like your lack of nutrition makes it so that if you have a cut that's scabbed over, it'll just break open and start bleeding again.
Yeah,
and stuff like that. I never took it as that. I took it more as like she was just letting herself deteriorate. She's not eating. She's not bathing.
And I'm the opposite. I thought it the first way. I thought that it was actually creating like and I thought there were some like allusions to like like nasty shit on her beyond just like.
I think there might. I wonder if you're conflating just two sections, because I wonder if now she doesn't have the pink ball, but then I don't know if she did because the pink ball was sustaining her. And now Musty didn't like the smell of her because she's sitting in a chair pissing and shitting and BO and everything like that and not eating and stuff like that. But then again, how much bowel movements is she going to have after 3 days of not eating?
Not eating, really. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
no, 100%. So that's the end of the subchapter.
Let's jump over to subchapter 25. Unfortunately, this is going to be rough. Charyou Tree, cried Cordelia, darting forward from where she had been waiting.
Oh, what a great start, Cordelia.
Yeah, off to the start, Cordelia. The crowd cheered, and beyond her left shoulder, Demon Moon winked as if in complicity. Charyou Tree, you faithless bitch. Charyou Tree, as she flung the pail of paint at Susan. It spattered her pants and dressed her tied hands in red, making her hands look like a pair of wet scarlet gloves. Cordelia grinned at Susan as the cart rolled past. The smear of ash still stood out on her cheek, and in the center of her forehead a single vein pulsed like a worm. Bitch, Cordelia screamed, her fist clenched. She danced some kind of hilarious jig, feet jumping, bony knees pumping beneath her skirt. She screamed, life for the crops, death for the bitch. Charyou Tree, come reap.
Death for the hitch. I actually thought you typoed that.
Oh, no, it is death for the hitch. Yeah,
because I thought you typoed that, so I went to check the book. I'm like, just to make sure before I correct it. And it was hitch. So.
I will admit I wrote bitch. Fact checked myself, changed it to hitch, but I just read it as bitch again.
Which
makes more sense.
Understandable.
The cart rolled past her. Cordelia faded from Susan's sight. Just another cruel phantasm in a dream that would not end. And then a quote here, directly from the book. Bird and bear and hare and fish, she thought. Be safe, Roland. Go with my love. That's my fondest wish.
And we haven't necessarily got there yet, but I think sometimes we jump a smidge ahead in the single episode.
It's in this episode, so it's fine.
Do you think the ball actually like lets him hear all this?
No,
I think
it's silent.
No, but like when it pulls him in and fills in all the gaps.
In all the details.
Is he going to hear even her thoughts here?
Oof.
Because dude, the ball is a vicious motherfucking thing, dude. So would it not?
Yeah.
Expose that shit to him?
Could.
So that's brutal.
That is.
Might be a tired topic at this point, but this is why I think Cordelia is not given enough credit for how terrible she is. The witch is a witch, but this is Susan's one remaining family member, the one who should be looking out for her, and here she is leading this nightmare.
Yeah.
So, just.
And I'm going to jump to my note here real fast. She seems quite mad. Jumping around, doing like a little jig and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's not somber. It's not like this is justice. This,
Yeah.
it has
But
to
we saw her
happen,
mind
and
break
everything
of
like that.
a while back though. There was a few like a chapter or so ago where
It's the ash.
she had completely snapped
Mhm.
but now
But this
is
is like a step further.
No, 100%. Yeah, this is like, Joker when he finally just snaps to the point where what does Joker look like 5 years later? This is the 5. Yeah, but I'm just saying that it's not like we had a nice, balanced Cordelia.
No.
Like we've seen her slipping towards this for a bit now.
We saw her like go catatonic, and that's why I'm saying is like that's why I brought this up is like this is not catatonic shock Cordelia.
Yeah.
Which is where we left her, which is how Rhea found her. This is literally like it says here. She danced some kind of hilarious jig, feet pumping, bony knees pumping beneath her skirt.
Yeah.
That's not a catatonic,
No.
broken, crazy person.
Yeah.
This is someone who's just like you. I like the analogy of the joke. This is someone who's had the worst day and she snapped.
Yeah, because it was that last fight with Susan where it was like you fully saw like she's insane. She's completely lost her mind. This isn't like anger from a rational person. It's whatever it was in her mind is snapped, and now we're just like we just gone a little bit further down that path of like, hey, now that she snapped, what is she devolving into? And
yeah, because some people snap and they just sit in the corner and they rock, muttering to themselves. Other people snap and they go fucking postal. Other people snap and they go completely psychotic. That's where I think we're at here is that it's a little bit of all three with Cordelia.
Yeah. And then she's clearly saying all the right things about the crops and all that shit, but at the root of all this, it's her hatred for Susan, right? She has no she has no superstition. She has no care about the crops. She has nothing, right? Am I that's how I'm reading it. Are you?
No, you're 100% right. And honestly, the thing for me here is that we see it. That's why I thought it was bitch instead of hitch.
Yeah.
Because that seems more in line with what Cordelia should say, but...
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, oh, man. So I don't know if we talked about it, but is it Sloane, do you think, as Cordelia from the Flanagan family?
Very well could be. Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to her as Carrie's mom, too. So that's gonna be interesting. But I'm just wanted to point it out though because she's saying all the right words to get the everyone behind her.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I don't think she gives two. I mean, we have seen she is superstitious though. But again, I think in her madness here now, like I don't think that she's worried about the crop. I don't think she gives a fuck about next week, let alone like the next few months of like the crop and like the survival of the town. This is all about she just wants to she wants this.
She wants Susan dead.
Yeah, 100%. So, yeah.
Yeah. Your last note here.
Already. That's kind of what I already said it earlier. I kind of responded that to your comment because it's like, she'd already snapped before, but now she's in just full on hysteria. Like it's just like I said,
there's
Joker the second he snaps when like his family dies or whatever. I know there's a million different stories have been told.
Yep.
Versus like, hey, what does he look like 5 years later? That's a different.
It's the difference between Jack Nicholson in the chair when he first has the bandages removed, hysteria like psychotic break. Versus Joker in the museum.
Yes.
Doing the paintings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's the difference between the two. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
So, continuing on, Rhea screamed to take her. Take this murdering bitch and cook her red-handed. Charyou Tree. The crowd responded, Charyou Tree. A forest of willing hands grew in the moonlight air somewhere. Firecrackers rattled and children laughed excitedly. Susan was lifted from the cart and handed toward the waiting woodpile above the heads of the crowd, passed by uplifting hands like a heroine returning from war. Her hands dripped red tears onto the straining, eager, upturned faces. She continued to murmur to herself, bird and bear and hare and fish. She was lowered and then slammed against the pyramid of dry wood. The whole crowd chanted now, Charyou Tree! Charyou Tree! Charyou Tree! Susan continued to murmur bird and bear and hare and fish. She tried to remember how he had danced with her that night, how he had, on the road the first night they had met, said, thank you, Cy, we are well met, and in spite of everything happening around her, in spite of this miserable ending with the folks who had been her neighbors, turned into prancing goblins by moonlight, in spite of pain and betrayal and what was coming, he had spoken truth. They had been well met. They had been very well met indeed.
Yeah, and my first note, children laughing excitedly.
That's
I feel like that is an easy
Haunt.
one to overlook, but like that might be one of the worst lines in this entire subchapter or this entire episode for me.
Yeah.
Because like it's one thing for the adults, right? But it's like we've seen that in different movies, and even in real history, where it's like when they'd have like public executions, like the kids were excused, right? We saw that in this story even with the hanging of hacks. They let the kids get excused.
There's
like
there's also one in the stand with the crucifixion where it's like, okay, kids can people with-
yeah, and the stand
people
too.
with, people
Yeah,
with small children can
yeah,
go.
another one. Yeah, exactly. So it's like there's ample examples, and again, even in real life, it's the same way. When they did public executions, like the kids weren't forced to be there. You know,
but
that kind of thing.
The
So
haunting ones, where I think back in history, because as a history nerd for certain events, the haunting ones for me are when the kids were excited about it and there and participating and screaming. And obviously the big one for me is like the Holocaust and stuff like that. There were times where German children were just like cheering it on and stuff like
Oh,
that.
yeah,
Like,
no.
that's just it's
no,
haunting.
100,
It's terrifying.
yeah, 100%. But I think the other thing to lock onto and why this is so haunting is because this isn't normal here. Like this is an ancient
No.
ritual, right?
No.
So this is like something that even the oldest person in this town has never seen or experienced. They weren't even an infant in the arm of their mom the last time this happened. So it's like for the kids to like. Because if it were just a normal thing and this happened every single year, and there was like the lottery, right? I always blank on the name. The name Shirley Jackson, or I'm the one that wrote The Haunting of Hill House, or The House on Haunted Hill, like wrote the lottery where like the whole town, you go through and do the lottery and stuff, and then like the person that wins they all execute, and that's like they stone them to death, and that's like
that story,
and so it's like
Shirley Jackson, yeah.
Sure.
You got it
Okay,
right.
Jackson. I was like Shirley Temple. No, that's the actor. I'm like, so
That's the drink.
Shirley
Oh, wait.
Jackson. Yeah, or the drink. But it's like but with that, then it becomes like a norm. Like think of like the long walk. Think of some of these other ones when it's like a normal thing. Like kids are on the side of the road watching it. They want to see these other kids executed and stuff because it's like it's part of like whatever. But it's like the haunting nature of this is like this isn't norm. This isn't the norm. So it's like
This isn't something they do every year.
Yeah, the
They
kids.
mentioned it earlier. This is a backwoods practice that every now and then there's a select group, kind of like an Illuminati kind of group that goes out in the woods and does something like this.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know if they even do human.
But this has probably been, probably centuries or even thousands of years since this was done in the open. So it's like for kids to be like not somber and not like shocked is wild. Like that's like, okay, what is Rhea doing something to like the actual like the people here in a way? Is there something that's being thrown out? Is there some sort of spell? Because I just don't know how kids would. I don't know. It's wild to me.
I think it plays up the whole reaping has been destroyed. The reap fair, that doesn't exist. And there's fireworks going off. It said that fireworks are going off. Firecrackers, sorry, not fireworks.
Yeah.
Firecrackers. Are they laughing at the execution? Are they laughing at the fact that there's going to be a bonfire? Maybe they don't realize exactly what's happening with Susan. Maybe they're just laughing at the firecrackers, or
Yeah, it could be.
or full on just public hysteria where
Yeah.
they just laugh because they don't know what else to do.
It could
I mean,
be. It could
you
be.
have to realize these are children. They
Yeah.
don't have the emotional maturity of adults. They don't know how to contain their emotions.
Yeah.
So a lot of times it's one of two reactions. Either they start bawling and crying and go into hysteria that way, or they laugh and go into hysteria that way.
Yeah.
It's usually one or the other. They don't really have the maturity to like, okay, I need to hold on, I need a minute, kind of thing.
Yeah.
They're just doing the first thing that comes to their head, and it's reaping. That's fun. That's
Yeah.
happy,
Yeah.
Baraki says Stephen Deshane told Roland that if the people have no villain, eventually they make one. At this scene, I always wonder if Roland remembered that lesson.
Yeah.
Oh,
Or at some point, I'm sure Roland connected those dots. If
Yeah.
it's not in this moment now, he would have at some point.
right.
And then thinking about those early moments with Roland, that's tough.
Yeah.
Again, just King
First
here
time
is,
they met.
yeah, King is he's hitting us with this here. So
Exactly. That's why my note is like, this is just hard to visualize. Just poor Susan. Like, and also one thing I want to call out. I don't have a note for this, but I want to call out. Roland's alluded to it, and Susan alludes to it. I think here, yeah, right here. This woman has been beat to shit.
oh yeah.
Like, multiple strikes to the face.
Yeah, this looks like Rocky at the end of Rocky 1.
Exactly.
Like she's a
Yeah.
little worse for the wear here. I mean, I'm not going to say she brought it on herself, but she did let her mouth go a few times, and
Couple times.
some of those worst of those welts are because I give her all the credit for doing it because again, lesser.
Jonas definitely gave her one for mouthing off. So
Yeah, 100%.
that's at least one there.
Yeah.
So
Somebody else later too. Was it Reynolds? Somebody else.
Coral.
It was Coral. That's right. Yeah, because she said that they're all going to die.
They're already dead or something like that.
Yeah.
Back cancer or something.
That's what it was. That's right. Yeah.
So going on, Charyou Tree. They continue to chant. And the reason I'm reading it that way, that's what I've never noticed. That's the way it's written. Charyou is capital C and then the rest is lowercase, but tree is all capitalized.
Yeah.
I've honestly never put my finger on that until
I don't
this
think I have either.
A woman came and piled dry corn shucks around her. Several of them slapped her. It didn't matter. Her bruised and puffy face seemed to have gone numb. There's what we were just talking about.
That's at least a silver lining there that it's numb.
Yeah.
So, but I think that happened even earlier. I want to say, was it Coral's hit where she's like, by that point, her face is so numb anyway that she didn't really feel it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
it was Misha Alvarez, whose daughter Susan had taught to ride, spat in Susan's eye, and then leaped away prankishly, shaking her hands at the sky and laughing. There's a character that you show that scene.
Yeah. 100%.
What you were talking about earlier with Flanagan. That's right. There's one right there.
100%. Yeah.
For a moment, Coral Thorin was visible to Susan, and Coral was festooned with reap charms and threw dead leaves at Susan, cackling. And now came her aunt and Rhea. Each held a torch. They stood before her, and Susan could smell a sizzling pitch. Rhea raised her torch to the moon and screamed in her old rusty voice, "Charyou Tree!" The crowd responded, "Charyou Tree!" Cordelia raised her own torch and cried, "Come reap! Come reap!" They cried back. And then I'm going to quote here from the book. "Now, ye bitch," Rhea crooned. "Now comes warmer kisses than any your love ever gave ye. Die, ye faithless bitch," Cordelia whispered. "Life for the crops, death for you." It was she who first flung her torch into the corn shucks, which were piled as high as Susan's knees. Rhea flung hers a bare second later. The corn shucks blazed up at once, dazzling Susan with yellow light. She drew in a final breath of cool air, warmed it with her heart, and loosed it in a defiant shout. "Roland, I love thee!" I'm going to pause right here because that's the end of the quote from the book. This is what I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Imagine if right here she draws in her last breath and sees Roland like as an apparition. He's got a pink hue around him, and she screams that right at him.
Yeah.
Oh, that's haunting.
Yeah.
Imagine if she says that right to his face. He's not really there, but she can see him.
Yeah. And even if it isn't in the actual moment, though, who's to say that the ball doesn't play it that way when it pulls him in?
Oh, yeah, you got a point.
So, there's any number of ways for that to be executed for sure.
Yeah.
So to speak.
She yells, "Roland, I love thee." The crowd fell back, murmuring as if uneasy at what they had done. Now that it was too late to take it back. There wasn't a stuffy guy, but a cheerful girl they all knew. Oh, this wasn't a stuffy guy, but a cheerful girl they all knew. One of their own, for some reason tied to their reap night bonfire with her hands painted red. They might have saved her given another moment. Some might have anyway. But it was too late. The dry wood caught. Then her pants, her shirt, her long blonde hair blazed on her head like a crown. And then I'm going to quote the rest of this. I think it's the rest of the subchapter. Yes, the rest of the subchapter here directly from the book. "Roland, I love thee." At the end of her life, she was aware of heat but not pain. She had time to consider his eyes of that blue which is the color of the sky at first light of morning. She had time to think of him on the drop, riding Rusher flat out with his black hair flying back from his temples and his neckerchief rippling. To see him laughing with an ease and freedom he would never find again in the long life which stretched out for him beyond hers. And it was his laughter she took with her as she went out, fleeing the light and heat into the silky, consoling dark, calling to him over and over as she went, calling bird and bear and hare and fish.
Brutal. The one thing I just didn't have a note on, but black hair. I never picture Roland with black hair.
No,
I think it's the Clint Eastwood thing. Like it's just
like the
man with no
blondish
name.
brown.
Yeah, it's like that's how I picture Roland. So black hair is just
It's always,
every time that
black,
comes time that comes up, it just throws me off. Where I'm like, no, not black hair.
Yeah.
That's not a thing for me. I don't know. Do you?
I picture black hair.
I mean, I know that's how it's said, but again, because he always draws it to the man with no name, like that's largely what I picture. And like, yeah, it's like more of a blondish or dirty blonde or even like light brown.
Reading the books that have the illustrations in them has helped me
No,
picture Jake and Roland more so than my imagination. Every picture I think has black hair.
Oh, and that's fair. That's fair. So the fact that Cordelia is the first of the two to throw the torches again, fuck that cunt. Like she is the most insufferable. Like again, we're never gonna recalculate the March Insanity year one, but I will say that for me, Cordelia is number one.
Yeah.
Like Rhea won the poll, and she'll always have the title, but Cordelia is it for me, man. She is just the absolute fucking worst.
Yeah.
Like just the worst.
You know what? I get it. I really do.
Yeah. And then quote, Drew, her final breath of cool air is fucking stone cold brutal. Like that is an absolutely brutal line.
It is. Because you know what's coming.
Yeah, exactly. That is just such there's those small things that King just like, it's like the dagger that it just gets you right between the ribs. And that's one of those for sure. Yeah. Drew, her final breath of cool air.
Struggling to keep their head above water. They struggled and drew their last breath above water, before
their last dry breath.
Dry breath. Oh, that's
yeah, that's brutal, man. And then the immediate regret from the crowd reminds me of the studies with people who jump off bridges to kill themselves and survive. The second they clear the railing, it's pretty much universal that they all regret it. Yeah. So again, they're able to pull the people that survive. But it's like, the second they clear the guardrail, it's like that moment where it's just like, fuck,
I
no.
shouldn't have done this.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, and again, it's universal. It's not like 85%, no, 100% of people that have survived and they've talked to said that they had that moment of regret there. So feels similar here, for everyone, obviously, except for Rhea and Cordelia. It's like, so it
says directly that many of them would.
Yeah.
Some might have anyway, is what it says actually. So maybe not just all but those two. There's some that I don't think it's all but two. I think it's a little bit less than that. I think it's like 30% might have saved her.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just the belief and decency of people, but I would believe that most of these people, like again, they got caught up in the
superstitious,
the superstition, like the fervor, right?
Yeah.
But it's like but then
bloodlust.
But then it's like Jonestown, right? When it actually got to the point, like there was a number of people that were forced, what is it, Flavor Aid, at gunpoint, because it's like they actually didn't want to do it. They didn't want their babies poisoned and shit. But it's like, but at that point it's too late and like you're going to be forced type thing. So it's like, I don't know. Again, maybe I'm just a cockeyed optimist and I believe in the overall goodness of people, that I believe that most of the people probably, regretted it in that moment, but it was too late type thing. So
yeah, absolutely. I will say this is the hardest thing I've ever had to type up for our notes. It's still hard for me to listen to or read to this day. Susan definitely deserved better. This is burning to death is a terrible way to die. I know scientifically, we've talked about this, like what is the actual scientific worst way to die? By the time the smoke gets to you, your skin's fried, you don't feel anything, it's been burned and everything like that, but still, the terror that humans have of fire.
Oh yeah, it's
probably
the oldest fear we've actually still maintained, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like even some of the animal things, like I'd have to imagine, are like maybe came later than fire. Like in a lot of ways, like because again, we even before we tamed fire, like fire was such a destructive, thing. Like I don't know. I think throughout all history, fire is one of the most. There's never like good when it comes to fire.
It's also not something that we fully control.
Yeah,
it's 100%. Either it's gone or it's, because like even like campfires have hurt people.
Yeah,
like I've been there when people have slipped and fallen in campfires and stuff like that. That's why you don't fool around a campfire. I had a friend whose son fell in the campfire and got burned really bad.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. It's like, even in a I have control of this fire. No, you don't.
Yeah, no.
No, you don't.
It's Jurassic Park. It's the illusion of control.
Yeah, no, you don't.
Yeah.
Fire is like the one thing that mankind believes that they have control over. No, we don't.
No.
Yeah. We never do.
No.
At any moment, that fire could kill you.
Yeah.
Like, and so
Kill you and everyone you love.
exactly. Ted was playing me some Pennywise sound bites before the episode, and that was one of them.
Yeah, indeed. Well, I was thinking Troy McClure from Simpsons, where they're going to the meat place where they're killing the cows. It's like the propaganda for meat when Lisa's a vegetarian, and it's like don't kid yourself, Billy. If a cow had a chance, it'd kill you and everyone you loved.
Oh, okay. My last note here for this subchapter is this is such a haunting scene. How do they even move on with their lives after this? Is this something they never mention again, or they justify it by saying that she was a murderer and they were doing the town justice and stuff? So it's just like, it's one of those things I've never thought about, but what happens to Magus at this point? We alluded to it earlier. Is it the sheriff's deputy that becomes into power? Reimer's brother? Like, where do you see, I honestly want to know, where do you see Magus going from here?
Yeah, I think it's going to I think it'll continue to exist for the long term, like even after Gilead falls and like the world moves on. I think there'll, even if it turns into being like Aunt Talitha level, like, only a couple families, like I do think that like, cause I don't know, humans are a persistent species. So, but I do think that like the spirit of the town is dead. I think that was dead the second they signed up with Farson. So yeah. And then Agamorphy said, I have not listened to the audio books yet for the canon tone of Charyou Tree or Charyou Tree or whichever. I don't remember how it's pronounced there.
I don't either.
I've listened to the audio book, but I don't know off the top of my head.
I haven't listened to the Dark Tower for a minute, so it's it's coming close to a
me too, actually.
Reread. Yeah.
I damn near downloaded the Gunslinger actually yesterday, so haven't pulled the trigger yet.
The reason I haven't done it is because I still have the full cast Harry Potters coming out, and they're releasing them like one per month. So it's like I don't want to start the Dark Tower and then stop and read a Harry Potter, then go back to it. And I think when the Harry Potter books are done being released, I might go to the Dark Tower. Well, I don't know, because that's around summertime, and then we have to read it.
Yeah. So I think the denial will be in play when it comes to them as well. With the instant regret, I think most of them are just going to block it from their memory. And like everyone would have claimed to have been at the Traveler's Rest the night of the showdown. I have a feeling a few years from now, everyone will have claimed they weren't here that night.
Oh, there was nothing going on Reap. I wasn't there. I can't believe that they did that.
Yeah, it's kind of like, if everyone that claimed to have been at Woodstock, it would have been like, 3 million people there instead of like, whatever 100,000 it was or whatever. And it's like, it'd be the same thing, but it'd be the reverse, where it's just like, literally no one. It's kind of like, Germany in 1950. It's like, oh, well, yeah, there were Nazis in Germany, but it wasn't my parents.
Yeah.
It's like,
No.
Yeah, that's a universal axiom. Yeah, the whole country got taken over, but my parents were the exception. Every single family's that way for some reason. Weird. So that's kind of my view of probably, but I do think the town, like it would be a husk of a town. I think the spirit of the town, again, died when they signed up with Farson. And then, with everything else that's happened here, like, but I do think
you don't think Gilead does anything to Magus after they find all this out? You don't think that they come down with like a squad or
I think in a previous time maybe, but with them basically being on the verge of defeat here, I mean, we're going to find it later in this episode where the end of all things is very close here. So I just don't think they've got the time or the ability, kind of like, there's like certain like, grudges that could have been held, with the Nazi Germany, the government and shit. But it's like when it was right there at the tail end of the war, like they didn't have the might or ability or even like caring to like actually try to go and settle those scores type things. So
Agamorphy says the hive mind kicked in.
Yeah, no, 100%. So subchapter 26, his screams no longer had the word no in them. It was just the howl of a gutted animal. That's tough.
Oh.
His hand still welded to the ball that was pulsating like a fast beating heart. He watched as she burned. Cuthbert tried again to take the cursed thing away, but couldn't. He decided to do the only thing he could think of and drew his gun and pointed it at the ball. It would wound Roland, but if he didn't do something, it would kill him. There was no need, as if it saw Cuthbert pointing the gun at him and understood, the ball went immediately dark and dark and dead in Roland's hands. Roland's body went totally limp and he collapsed like a rock, letting go of the ball as he fell. His stomach cushioned the ball as it struck the ground. The ball rolled off of him and stopped just near his unconscious hands, or his unconscious hand. It was black, but for a single orange spark in it, which is the reflection of the demon moon.
That's a fantastic image.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. Also, you're getting some compliments for reading it well there, sir.
Thank you.
So yeah, man, this is tough. But at the same time, it really does contextualize Roland's tone. As we see him in the the earlier books and stuff, he's very aloof, very cold. And that's the guy we've known throughout this whole series for the most part. He is softening to an extent, but this really just helps build that context of like why Roland is who Roland is.
Yeah.
As we've gone through this series here. So Bert finally got it to let go. Of course, we all know the ball is sentient, so it saw its life threatened and finally let go. Like Cuthbert's not registering that was the exact result, but we know it was, right?
Yeah.
Like the ball has been very choosy about, what it shows to who, when it turns on, when it turns off. Rhea yelled at it at one point. It fucking, iced her out for a week or more, so it's just like, it is fully sentient. So no, like Cuthbert, you may not understand it, but you pointing the gun at it is what stopped it there. Like
King alludes to it himself, saying like, it's almost like it knew.
Yeah, but I think that's because it's from Cuthbert's mind, though, where he's just like, it's almost like it knew, but it's like, no, it fucking knows, Cuthbert. Like, we know more about it than you do.
It really does.
It knows, and it saw that gun, and that is the reason it let go. So you just saved Roland's life very directly. It wasn't, because I feel like Cuthbert's probably just being logical, where it's like, oh, it's just coincidence. Like, it just happened.
Unwilling to accept what he saw, kind of thing. Like, people see a ghost, and they're like, oh, no, it was just, I'm tired. I haven't eaten. I have low blood sugar. Obviously, that wasn't a ghost. They make all those things up to cope with stuff like that. I think Cuthbert is along the lines here where it's just like, it's a coincidence. I didn't do that. Me pointing my gun at it didn't do that.
Yeah.
And everything. My note here, it really gives off the ring vibes from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it just coincidentally turned off,
Yeah.
like to save
Or
itself.
slipped off their finger, slipped off the person's finger.
When they're in the river and they're like, oh, look, there he is.
Yeah.
Shoot him with the arrow. I always remember that scene as like,
Yeah.
that ring is sentient. That ring knows what it's doing. It does it on purpose.
It wants to be found.
It wants to be found. Exactly. The ball wants Roland to look.
And it goes on
wants
Frodo's
to kill.
goes on Frodo's finger too. That's kind of a
There's no way
that shouldn't have happened.
There's no way you fall on your back, throw a ring up into the air on accident, and have it land on a finger.
Yeah.
Not a chance.
No. Carnies would go out of business if that were a real thing. Because then the ring game would be way easier if things just happened that way. So I would film the dark ball with the demon eye, demon moon reflecting to look like an eye. Play it for horror as if it's mocking Cuthbert and Alain.
Fantastic idea.
Like literally just play it almost like the Eye of Sauron. I mean, it wouldn't be the exact same, but it's like literally have it, and maybe even have an echo of like Rhea's laughter. Just that's how I'd play it again. Just it's not completely in the text there, but it's like the visual of that basically looking like an eye with the reflection of the demon moon. Like that is just asking for something killer.
If
horror-wise.
Flanagan changed it to where Roland can hear what's happening in his head, I would not have a problem with that. Like, I understand King wrote it to where there's no audio, no sound whatsoever.
Yeah.
But if Flanagan made the choice to change that to where Roland can hear Susan scream, or hear Rhea laughter, I would not have a problem.
Or
with that.
it could even be a thing where again, like maybe you just give a line later in the series, like after he's again we're gonna get to it later in this one, but it's like later on he's gonna re-engage the ball a few times, and one of them is where it fills in all the gaps of the story, because we alluded to that God, it would have been a year or more ago now when we break with Eddie and Susanna, and it's like, hey, how do you know all the shit you're not
How do you
seeing?
know what Jonas said to DePape and Reynolds after the showdown of the Traveler's Rest? They're out in the middle of the road. Like, you weren't there.
Yeah. And so maybe during that, what if you just gave Flanagan gave Roland a line where it's just like, the second time it showed it to me is when I was in there, I heard everything.
Yeah.
Just a line, just that. Because then you leave it to the imagination of like the audience to then now fill in the blanks of what that actually looked like. And if the actor plays it well enough, like you're gonna get them there.
Yeah.
So Alain looked at the ball with disgust and frightened awe, like one might look at a predator that was asleep but might wake up and bite at any moment, like Peter with a Congo monkey.
Don't trust Congo gorillas.
Oh man, which you always have to say Congo because it's like they're not real. That's like a weird genetic nonsense thing. But
we're talking about Congo the movie, not the place.
Not the not the countries. So he stepped forward, meaning to crush it to dust beneath his boot. Cuthbert said, "Don't you dare," from the side of Roland's limp body, the moon reflecting out of his eyes. And he said that after all the misery and death that they went through to get it, don't even think about it. Alain heard him, but considered destroying the cursed thing anyway. Misery suffered didn't justify misery to come. As long as it existed, it would bring nothing but misery. And I just got to pause on that line. Misery suffered did not justify misery to come. That is
It's a good line.
Put that on a fucking t-shirt, man. That's
a good line.
That's a good line from King there. So,
yeah.
Which I mean, ultimately, it's just a great line to basically like, hey, if you want to throw a great line for, don't follow the sunken cost fallacy. Don't chase good. Don't throw good money after bad. It had killed Susan Delgado. He had not seen the images in the ball, but he had seen the face of his friend, and it had been enough to know that it had killed Susan, and it would kill more if left whole. But then he thought of Ka and drew back. Later, he would bitterly regret doing so.
Thanks, King. Thank you.
Just the classic King. Bert told him.
That's it. That's all he gives us. And then he continues on every fucking time.
It's genius. It really is.
I sound mad, but I'm just like in awe more than anything. It's just like, God, that's so good.
Yeah. Because it's
frustrating, but good.
Yeah. Bert told him to put it in the bag and help him with Roland. They had to get him out of here. Alain grabbed the bag and picked the ball up, hating the smooth feel of it and feared it would wake up, but it didn't. He put it in the bag and looped it over his shoulder. He was not sure how long they tried to bring Roland to, but it was long enough for the moon to be high in the sky and the smoke had begun to dissipate.
That's hours.
Yes, that is 100% hours. And that's like, from my perspective, I don't have a note on this, but like what I want to see is like when you do like a montage or you do like a thing where you have like that clever editing where you can kind of tell that like it's been hours, like them trying to like, whatever. And maybe you just have like the thing where you just like zoom out a bit and you literally see the moon moving. Cause like that, then you're conveying to the audience, like, yeah, we're not sitting here for a minute or two.
It's a while.
We're talking hours. So finally Bert said they needed to just sling him over Rusher's saddle and ride with him that way. They had to get into the woods west of the barony before dawn. They had crushed Barson's men, but the remnants might regroup. Best they be gone before that happens. That is how they left Eyebolt Canyon, the seacoast side of Magus, riding beneath the demon moon with Roland laid across the saddle like a corpse.
Yeah.
So
that's an image.
Yeah, and just what a way to like write that. Like just I don't know. It's like poetic, but at the same time like sinister and ominous.
It is.
God damn it, Cuthbert! You either should have shot that thing anyway or let Alain destroy it. Where was Elrond when you need him? God damn it!
Destroy it.
Exactly. I'm glad you knew where I was going with that. So, yeah.
What is it? Isiliador, destroy it.
Yeah, exactly. Come on, man. Yeah, he just pops up. Alain, destroy it.
We just need more Elrond telling people to destroy things in our lives.
Yes, indeed. Alain knowing Susan was dead just from Roland's reaction, that's brutal.
It is.
It is. That's brutal.
Yeah.
Like, and again, I just can like imagine that like the actor playing young Roland is going to just be able to eat the scenery with this whole thing here. So,
I'm
again,
really excited to see who they get.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, who knows? The rate we're going now, the kid might be 5 right now.
Might not even be born right now. I mean, we're talking a 14-year-old, so.
I mean, they'll probably age him up, would be my guess. So, again, Flanagan should do the shot of the yellow moon reflecting in Cuthbert's eyes, kind of like I said about the ball. Like a total horror movie, play it up and make him look supernatural and evil. And I want to say that he's got some images of that, where you have someone with, like, glowing eyes. Was it Gerald's Game? Where someone
Moonlight Man.
The Moonlight Man, is that what I'm thinking?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what kind of what I'm thinking. Like play something like that, or even if it's just for a split second, just kind of like just have that, like be the reflection that we're seeing there. And then of course the King special there, saying Alain would bitterly regret leaving the ball intact. I mean, again, God damn it, King. God damn it, King.
Yep.
And maybe that's one of the reasons that some of the adaptations struggle a little bit, is because you can't do that in a movie.
Nope.
There's just, unless you have a narrator, there's just no way to pull that off.
A lot of people don't like doing narrators in movies, so.
Yeah, because it's very, very hard to do well, and it's very easy to do very, very poorly, and it's a good way to ruin your movie. So I respect that they don't do it, but yeah, it's always going to be hard to do that King special. So yeah.
We know how evil the ball is. That this part alone shows it, but to blame it for Susan's death, was the one who caused it is interesting. Saying that it is the one that caused it is interesting. I wrote that wrong. Sorry.
Yeah.
If you had asked me who was to blame for Susan's death, I would have said Rhea and Cordelia, not the ball. before doing this deep dive.
So here's my answer for you.
Yeah.
Who tricked Roland into thinking that Susan was safe?
The ball.
Because if it wasn't that, Roland's forsaking
Roland
everything.
said it himself. If she wasn't safe, I'd turn back right now. He said that to Alain and Cuthbert. If she wasn't safe, I would turn back right now.
Yeah.
But she is.
So
The ball lied to him.
yeah.
So
and
I've just never put 2 and 2 together that the ball is 100% to blame. But the way that this is wording it here, it is the ball and solely the ball's fault that Susan's dead.
yeah, I mean, and even more directly, right? Because even the Rhea stuff, how much of the Rhea stuff is because what the ball showed her? I know she's.
I was ready for this. I've thought about this. She had beef with Susan before she ever.
I know,
with the ball.
but it got gasoline on the fire because of the ball, and the ball was
the ball reminded
the ball
her
also
of it.
reminded her of it too because she was getting.
She also forgot about it because of the ball.
Yeah,
that's the only reason that she didn't take revenge on Susan sooner is because the ball made her forget. Because her first plan failed, having her cut her hair, and then cut her throat. Was she supposed to cut her throat? Or was she supposed to just cut her hair?
Just the hair, yeah, because she didn't want to run afoul of the mayor.
Right, so she just cut her hair. That didn't work. Susan barely cut any hair. Rhea came back to the ball and found out that her plan didn't work. But she forgot and then was reminded later when the ball finally started working again, and that's when she sent the note.
Yeah.
So it's like she had issues with Susan before the ball. Like, I can't say before the ball. Technically, Rhea had the ball, but barely.
But is that just normal witch grudge, though? Is that enough to where she would have actually gone to this extent? Or, again...
What, having Susan, burned alive at the stake?
Yeah, that's where I'm just So that's... I don't know, man. I do
Here's the thing. I think Rhea's taking out her loss of the ball on the one person that she can.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, 100%.
And that's Susan.
So
that's the ball's fault as well, because the ball went to Jonas.
Yeah, it's like you have
it could have shown Rhea that Jonas would take the ball, and Rhea could have been like, "Fuck, I need to get out of here."
Yeah,
it could have.
So you have 12. You have 12 different paths of blame, and 10 of them have the ball somewhere in it, on that path.
And
Two
also,
of them.
I'm just saying. If you had asked me before we did the deep dive, it started the book clubs for Wizard and Glass. Who's to blame for Susan's death? I would have been like Rhea and Cordelia.
Yeah,
that's the only people responsible. It's those two.
Yeah,
there's no one else.
Yeah,
because Rhea was out there on the road. But again, like you said, who showed her where to go?
Yeah.
It was the ball.
Yeah.
So
and showed her where she was hiding. The ball showed Jonas
in the tall grass.
Yeah. Well, hey, do you know a shack with a red door?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know right where it's at.
He's
so multiple times his ball has guided us to this moment.
This ball hates Susan.
Yeah, it does.
With a passion, apparently.
Maybe it's because she spied it.
Oh,
she spotted it in the hut,
and it's sentient.
It's sentient enough to know.
So it's holding a grudge.
Yeah, because
otherwise she would have been the ball would have been secret with Rhea.
Yeah,
the whole time.
Yeah,
but instead the secret's out and put it in danger of running afoul of the 3 gunslingers that the ball obviously knows is there.
Yeah, yeah.
Shows Rhea them.
Yeah.
So
indeed.
Interesting.
So, I mean, we also got to remember that this is a titular item here. There's not very many things in this series that are directly tied with titles in the book, but Wizard and Glass,
right there.
We shouldn't be underestimating this thing because the goddamn title is.
Yeah, I know it's evil. I
know. I'm just saying that because I'm the same way. There is a little bit more as we've gone through this entire thing. I've just been like, goddamn, the ball is way more responsible than I would have ever given it credit for. But again, maybe we're just overlooking the fact that the fucking title of the book is around this goddamn trinket.
It's on the cover and everything.
Yeah.
Hagamorphy says silent trauma is such a tired trope in movies and TV.
Yeah, no, actors love it though.
They do. They do.
So makes sense that they need to get out. They did not kill everyone, and if they do regroup, that could be absolute fucking it'd be one thing to survive all this, right? But then it's then to die when the muster of whatever's left actually bounces back on you. Wouldn't that be the ultimate fucking insult?
Especially with Roland out of it.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then come on, guys, go back and slaughter everyone in the town, including the witch and Rhea.
Come on, dude. You just talked about how they have to get out of there.
Nah, to kill them all. And again, notice I said the witch and Rhea.
Yeah.
So.
Cordelia. 2 against an entire town plus any of Farson's men who survived. Yeah, suicide.
They're gunslingers.
That's suicide, sir.
They're gunslingers. Bunch of dumb town folk.
Apprentices.
All right, and now, no, you said it yourself. After this showdown and all this, they're gunslingers
That's
now.
true.
So, and now we're reaching our last subchapter of this.
The last
section.
subchapter of
Not
the
of the
flashbacks.
episode.
Of the flashback.
Of the flashback, not for
the
the
flashback.
episode, but of the flashback. The end of Roland's story is
Yeah.
upon us here.
Yep.
So, well, the flashback story, yes.
Yep. So subchapter 27. The next day they spent Bosque in the forest west of Magus, waiting for Roland to wake up. When afternoon came and he remained unconscious, Cuthbert said to Alain, "See if you can touch him." Alain took Roland's hands in his own, marshaled all his concentration, bent over his friend's pale, slumbering face, and stayed there for almost a half hour. Finally, he shook his head, letting go of Roland's hand, and stood up. "Nothing?" Cuthbert asked. Alain sighed and shook his head. They made a travois out of pine branches so he wouldn't have to spend another night riding over saddle. It made Rusher nervous to carry his master that way. Oh, poor Rusher. They went.
He's a good boy.
He is a good boy. They went on, not traveling on the Great Road. It would have been too dangerous, but parallel to it. Still, Roland remained unconscious. Both boys felt a deep tug of homesickness as Magus fell behind them. They were sitting on each side of Roland when Cuthbert asked if an unconscious person could die of hunger or thirst. Alain said he thinks they can. Oh, yeah, there's a happy thought just to throw at us. Like, I love the king just uses these two just, like, wondering out loud, like, hey, you know, if he doesn't wake up, can he die of hunger and thirst? Yeah, he can. Oh,
Yeah,
fuck.
so you got
know,
what?
like,
You got 3 days, right?
yeah, thanks.
Is that what it is? 3 days of water?
3 days of thirst.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
Humans can't go more than 3 days without water.
yeah. Yeah, Roland is kind of gone, like earlier with the ball. The touch is not even able to reach him, so he's like, this is like not even just unconscious. This is like completely fucking removed from existence. It seems so. And then Rusher is nervous by carrying Roland like a corpse. Kind of makes sense.
I mean, yeah.
You know, I don't.
That's your owner. That's your guy.
Yeah,
you know?
there's a bond there.
Yeah,
so,
there is.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we already know that Rusher is like above and beyond the other horses because, like, was it when Sicko was? Oh no, it's when they went into Eyeball Canyon. Roland dismounted. The other two horses were like, "Peace, we're out." Rusher's like, "Hey, what are we doing?" And
Yeah.
Roland's like, "Get the fuck out of here."
Yeah.
He had to
Yeah.
like tell him twice to get
Yeah.
to go.
It's like my white Arabian.
That's right, Snowflake.
That's not Snowflake. That's not
Snowflake.
Ace Ventura. You're never going to say Snowflake without me not thinking about that scene.
Oh God, Tad.
It's millennial canon.
It is.
It
It is.
really is.
All right, so going on. It had been a hard night of travel, and neither boy had slept well the previous day, so they're traveling by night. Roland slept like the dead. They awoke minutes apart as the sun was going down and the demon moon, now 2 nights past full, so we got a time jump here.
Yeah. Which I feel like it's less relevant now. Like, I feel like our ticking clock, like,
Yeah.
now it's very clear what we were basically.
it's also more like I'm showing like
No,
okay, we don't have like the minutes going by.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we just jumped 2
now
full
we're
days.
just
Yeah.
breezing because it's like it doesn't. I mean,
Yep.
I think King's telling us for the story for us to understand that we have some days behind,
Yeah,
or whatever.
exactly.
But because that just feels different to me the way this one's written, where it's just like it just feels like more of a passe. Like we're not taking a clock anymore. Now it's just a matter of like we've moved on.
Yeah, we're going.
So
let's see where 2 nights past full rose through a troubled rack of clouds that presaged the first of the great autumn storms. When they woke the next night, Roland was sitting up. He had taken the glass from the drawstring bag. He sat with it cradled in his arms. That's a happy thought.
Yeah.
Going right back to it. A darkened bit of magic is dead as the glass eye of the romp. Hey, shout out the romp.
oh yeah, got my
Yeah.
R.I.P. Ka-Tet 19 t-shirts, but
Yeah.
I did get me a Traveler's Rest romp shirt
Yep.
With
It's
my-
it's a cool looking shirt.
with my final. It kind of
you
looks
should,
like
you should post a picture of that.
feels like a band shirt to me.
It does.
That's which I
really
which I
does.
really appreciate.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Someone's gonna be like, "What's the Traveler's Rest?" I don't know any of their songs. And
Yeah.
you're gonna be like, "Trust
that'd
me,
actually be a really good band name.
Traveler's Rest." It would be.
That would be a really cool band name.
Yeah.
And then the first album, Showdown,
First album would be Showdown, and
or
they
just make it Showdown at the Traveler's
have
Rest.
a Showdown at the Traveler's Rest because you do like the title of the, like self-titled album.
Yeah,
But then also another song on there should be The Romp.
The Romp, yeah. And then Petty the Trotter.
Petty the Trotter. I thought this Sheb.
Sheb, yeah. And Sheb has to have piano in it for sure.
It's got a piano tune in it.
Like a honky tonk piano too, like Jerry Lee Lewis type
shit.
So
Roland,
see, we just created a band.
there we go.
Too bad we're not musicians.
$1 million idea right there. Roland's own eyes, also dead, looked indifferently off into the moonlit quarters of the forest. He would eat but not sleep. He would drink from streams they passed but would not speak. And he would not be parted from the piece of Maryland's rainbow, which he had brought out of Magus at such a price. It didn't glow for him, though. Cuthbert thought not why Al and I are awake anyway. There's another happy thought. Thanks, Cuthbert.
Yeah.
Alain couldn't get Roland's hands off the ball, so he laid his own on Roland's cheeks, touching him that way. Except there was nothing to touch, nothing there. The thing they rode west with them toward Gilead was not Roland, not even if he was the ghost of Roland. Like the moon at the close of its cycle, Roland had gone, and that's the end of the subchapter.
End of the subchapter, the end of the part,
flashback.
The end. The end of Roland's story. So that is a way to end it. Baraki has a good point. Did they mention Sheb being there? Which I don't think they did. I don't know how Roland didn't just pull his iron and kill Sheb the first sight of him in Tull, especially if he knew Sheb was there. So I wonder if King specifically didn't call out Sheb being there. Because I don't think there was any mention of him being there. Because I think you're right. I think if he had, there's no way that Sheb's...
Yeah, if Sheb's there and throws a corn shuck at Susan or a tomato, or is chanting Charyou Tree, Roland's like, "Hey, motherfucker!" Bam.
Yeah, 100%.
Doesn't he though shame Sheb talking about her in the revised version?
Maybe
that
seems vague.
That just tickled in my memory, like back there in the cobwebby back parts of my brain.
Yeah,
there's not a lot back there, but something just made a noise back there. I need to investigate. So I got a couple notes here. Geez, I never appreciated how creepy this section is. I am always so distraught by what happened to appreciate it for what it is. Roland changed so fundamentally that Alain can't even touch him. Like that's never sunk in for me. Like it's always been like what I was talking about earlier, how I was rushing from section to section. This is the one where it's like, okay, the story's over. Susan died. We know how she died. Get back to, I want to see how the Ka-Tet reacts.
Yeah.
So I've never really appreciated this subchapter here for what it is. But when Alain isn't even able to touch Roland, what is he? What is he at that point?
Yeah, like, I mean, yeah. No, 100%. Let's see. It's my note here. So yeah, Flanagan could do some good horror with this. Spend a few minutes of montage showing him out of it for a bit, and then suddenly they wake up and he's sitting up but not really awake.
Yeah,
like that is feels like some Haunting of Hill House type stuff for sure.
Baraki says, "Yeah, I seem to remember that Roland inferred that Sheb was there." Okay, so I'm not crazy.
Yeah, I'm doing a search of Sheb in book 1.
I think I think it's what he breaks his wrists.
The problem is let's see
they call him the pianist.
The problem is that Sheb's is the name of the club, so there's a lot of mentions of Sheb in the first book. The hands were trained to give him, because Allie's asking to be killed. Her mouth flapped. Gunfire. The last expression of the face may have been gratitude. Sheb's head snapped back. They both fell into dust. Yeah. So I don't.
No, I think it's sooner than that. I think it's when he comes in with the knife and Roland breaks his wrist, and she's treating it, and he says something there.
Okay.
That's where my memory serves.
Yeah. I'm not sure. Again, there's just too many fucking. Let's see. Understanding dawned. Magus, the gunslinger, said, and the little piano player looked, his eyes turned wide. Magus, he said again, on the clean sea, what about it? You were there, weren't you? Many ago. What if I was? So I don't remember you. But you do remember the girl, don't you? The girl named Susan. And Reap Night, his voice took on an edge. Were you there for the bonfire? Yeah. The little man's lip trembled. They were covered with with spit. His eyes said he knew the truth. He was closer to dead now than when he came in bearing the knife.
Yeah.
Get out of here, the gunslinger said. So maybe Roland's got a little bit more control than we're giving him credit for there.
Okay.
So good memory to you guys.
Yeah, that's not in my version. Remember, I got the second edition or third edition.
Yeah,
that was because that was one of the things that we did with the book club is that we went through and saw the differences between like the revised version, the 2004 revised. Is that when he read
3.
2003.
Yeah.
I always think it's 4 because that's when we graduated, so I just associate it with that.
Yeah.
I love Cuthbert thinking that the ball hasn't glowed at least when they are awake. It's a crafty bit of magic and would do something like that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And Flanagan can absolutely play that up by having Alain mention that to, or Cuthbert mention that to Alain.
Yeah.
You don't have to have that be internal. That can be like a, well, at least it hasn't glowed for him. Not when we're awake. And Alain,
Yeah.
fuck, that's a thought, dude. God damn, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. All right. So part 4, all God's children got shoes.
Chillin'. I love that.
is the-
Chillun. Chillin'.
Yeah. And we got subchapter 1. So for the first time in hours, days, the gunslinger fell silent. He sat looking at the building that sat east of them. With the sun behind it, the building appeared black that was surrounded by gold. He took the water skin and drank heavily from it. He half drank and half poured it over his face. Eddie asked him if he felt better. Roland said that he did, and he was not sure how that was possible, as he dreaded telling it so much. Susan said an ologist of the psyche could explain it to him, but he wouldn't listen as she stretched, and she expected a lot of stiffness, but it was not there. Yeah. So it feels unreal. We could feel that unreal time, but then again, we've also been hearing this story since October of 2023. So I went and looked up the date.
Almost 3 years.
That's when we started part 2 of this book. So
The
that's when
flashback
we would
part.
have started the flashback. So yeah, we've basically been going on this since just that part of the story, not the book, but just Roland's flashback, October of 23.
Almost 2.5 years. Just a
Yeah.
month shy of 2.5 years.
Yeah. So wild.
Yeah, like waking from a nap. You don't know what time it is, where you are, or who you
Or,
are.
or how your hair is doing.
My hair.
My hair. That's a soundbite.
That's a sound. I'm going to write that down.
Oh man. Agamorphy says jam prog band Traveler's Rest. Or wait, are you saying that that's an idea or there's one that's out there? You have to fill us in there, Agamorphy, because it wouldn't
Oh, yeah.
it wouldn't surprise me if that was a band. And then again, my next note, ologist of the psyche is a fun turn of phrase. I also love that she just says that Roland wouldn't listen.
No.
That's a good read from Susanna. Now here's gonna be the hard part now, is we kept calling Susanna, back in 2023.
Yep.
And now we're going to be calling Susan
Susan.
for quite a while.
Oh, yeah.
So,
What
I
was
thought-
the line that we just said that we needed?
my hair.
My hair.
I mean, just Everett McGill. Or wait, is it McGill? I forget now.
I don't remember his name.
Oh, brother, where art thou? I know it's Everett. So Eddie said it gives a whole new meaning to get it off your chest, and asked how long they had been there. Roland said just one night. Jake said the spirits had done it all in a single night. Oy sat in his lap. Roland asked what he said, and Roland said not him, Dickens in the Christmas Carol. Then asked if it was all in a single night, and Roland asked if anything in his body said it was longer. Jake shook his head. Roland asked the deans. Susanna said she felt good, not like she stayed up all night, let alone many of them. Eddie said it reminded him of his times as a junkie. Roland said doesn't everything.
God damn it.
And then I got a direct quote here because I just had to. Oh, that's funny, Eddie said. A real howl. Next train that goes crazy on us, you can ask it silly questions. What I meant was you spend so many nights high that you got used to the feeling of 10 pounds of shit in a 9-pound bag when you got up in the morning. Bad head, stuffy nose, thumpy heart, glass in the spine. Take it from your old pal Eddie. You can just tell from the way you feel in the morning how good the dope was for you the night before. Anyway, you'd get so used to that, I did anyway, that when you actually took a night off, you'd wake up the next morning sitting there on the edge of the bed thinking, what the fuck's wrong with me? Am I sick? I feel weird. Did I have a stroke in the night? And that's the end of the quotes there. Jake,
I've had that feeling before, where like something's been wrong. Like sick.
after you're sick for a while.
After you're
yeah.
sick, you wake up and you're like, wait, what? What is this?
Yeah.
What's
is
going
this?
on?
Health? What is this? Nonsense.
I feel okay.
Yeah. Jake laughed and clapped his hand over his mouth as if trying to claw the words back, but then said it reminded him of his dad. Eddie asked if he was one of his people, then said he expected to be sore, tired, and creak when he walked, but all he needed was to pee. Roland said, and a bite to eat. Eddie said no. After that story, he wasn't hungry at all, and that's the end of the subchapter.
Yeah.
So not to this extent, but I think we all have those times where you watch movies and it feels like 10 minutes, and you read a book in one sitting, and it feels like a small amount of time, and it actually turns out it was different. Like I feel like we all have that like time being like elastic, where it just
Yes.
feels different to some extent or another.
There,
So,
I have 2 examples. There's the one where time doesn't feel like it's moving as it should, and that's when you're at work. And then literally yesterday, my wife and I were playing a video game. We looked at the clock and we're like, okay, it's 11 o'clock. Great. Continue playing, look back up at the clock, and it's 12:30. It's like, how the fuck did an hour and a half go by already? Like,
Yeah.
that's not possible.
yeah, indeed. Yeah, and it is wild that it was all in one night.
Yeah.
because that is a stout story.
It is.
So,
Subchapter 2 is our shortest blah. Let me try that one more time. Subchapter 2 is our shortest subchapter today. Eddie carried Susan down the embankment and popped her behind a stand of laurel bushes to do her necessary. Jake was 60 or 7 yards east in a grove of birches. Roland had said he would use the remedial strip to do his morning necessary and raised his eyebrows when the New York friends laughed. Do you get that?
no.
I don't either. Okay.
Maybe the remedial strip.
I don't know.
Maybe that's what he like.
Maybe because they
They're
think of it
laughing
as
at-
like the shoulder of the breakdown lane, and he calls it the remedial strip.
That's probably like their terminology for it would be my guess. Because I didn't get anything there. So
I just glanced at the chat, and Baraki says, "Dang, I really have a craving for barbecue." Eddie Dean, God, Eddie's tasteless, but not tactless.
yeah,
Susan wasn't laughing when she came out of the bushes. Her face was streaked with tears. Eddie didn't ask her. He knew what was wrong. He had been fighting the feeling himself. He took her gently in his arms. She put her face against the side of his neck. They stayed that way for a little while. Susan said Charyou Tree, pronouncing it the way Roland had, Charyou Tree. Yeah, Eddie said, I think Charlie by any other name is still a Charlie. As he supposed a rose was a rose was a rose. Come reap, he said. She raised her head and looked at him with swimming eyes. To have gone through all that, and at 14. Yeah, Eddie said, it makes my adventure searching for the elusive bag in Tompkins Square look pretty tame. In a way, I'm almost relieved. Susan asked why. Because I thought he was going to tell us that he killed her herself for his damn tower. Susan looked squarely into his eyes and said, that's what he thinks he did. Don't you understand that? And that's the end of the subchapter.
yeah. Yeah,
My-
I will also say to the barbecue comment earlier, I did put in the social media blast that this episode would be fire.
Damn it, Tad. Oh, that's terrible.
Am I wrong?
Yes. Hashtag Tad is terrible.
No, I'm not wrong. I might
You're
be an
wrong.
asshole, but I'm not wrong.
You're wrong. You're wrong this time. It's not fire. It's sad. We're all crying.
I'm not saying like, Gen Z slang fire. I'm just saying like there's literally it's a fire episode.
God, it's even worse.
Oh,
My note here, just poor Roland, man. Like
Yeah.
she said, like Susanna said here, 14 years old.
yeah.
All of this at 14.
Yeah. Yeah.
My daughter's 13, so I could just.
I was about to say, I wonder if this is affecting you differently because the age of your daughter is actually close to both
Mhm.
Roland and Susan here. So
She's 1 year younger than what Roland is in this story.
yeah. Yeah.
Ugh.
So the way to the story, hitting the Deans, and then maybe Jake for all we know.
We don't get a
we're-
shot of him.
We're not clued into him
Yeah.
there, but he might be having maybe they're all spreading out to, take their pisses and stuff, but are actually like taking that moment to kind of whatever.
Kind of
So,
regroup.
Yeah.
Barack says,
Emotionally.
Hashtag Tad is terrific.
Indeed.
And then my last note here, it is less horrible than I thought my first time reading it too. What happened to Susan?
Yeah, I expected him to be very directly responsible. Like I thought very Jake Chambers book 1 type. Like that's what I was
Letting him fall kind of thing. That's
Yeah.
what I expected.
Yeah, that's
The way he was acting, it's like, God, it's like, what do you do? Slit her throat?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
You know?
So, yeah, that's what I was waiting for. So yeah, definitely not as bad. I mean, it's pretty fucking bad, but
It's bad. It's
yeah.
bad, but realistically, when you look at it, take a step back. Logically, Roland has zero blame. Like, he was lied to. He can't be held accountable for what happened to Susan. Like, we talked about it just a little bit ago, that the ball flat out lied to him. Like, if I had any indication that she was in danger, I'd turn back right now.
Yeah.
Roland says that. I remember that line so distinctly because I know
Yeah.
certain people, like the one sitting across from me, likes to slander people and say, well, Roland really loves Susan.
But-
He would have saved her. Shit like that.
The other thing is, we don't probably have time to really dive into this, but the other thing I'm going to say is the origin of the tower coming from the ball. After everything we just saw and everything here, let's remember the origin story of Roland going to the tower is the ball. So I don't know. It's an interesting thing to chew on in the larger context of what does the end mean and all that. We've had these discussions over the years. We can't talk about it here, obviously, but it's like everything about this entire series is a large whole. There's a lot of discussion, and there's just the Roland's mission. This entire thing, his whole, not modus operandi is the wrong word, but his entire existence and purpose began with the ball. So that is an interesting thing to think about. So let's move on to subchapter 3. This is a little bit longer, and this is our last one. So when they were back together, there was food in sight, and they decided they could eat after all but Roland. Roland's face made him look old and lost, and it hurt Eddie's heart to see. But he could not think of what to do about it. Jake, a decade younger, did. He got up and went to Roland and knelt beside him and put his arms around the gunslinger's neck and hugged him and told him he was sorry that he lost his friend. And that is that hits there. And also just because it's like there's a childishness to that too, right? Jake, it's not a friend, dude. Come on. That's a little bit more than a friend, but I guess for a 12-year-old, that's maybe how you can interpret it there. So Eddie thought Roland was going to lose it. A long time between hugs he expected. Eddie looked away when he looked back, Roland had it back together again. Roland was eating, not with much relish, but he was eating, which is good because relish is gross. So
it is gross. Agreed.
Susanna took his hand and marveled that it was only one night. Eddie said for their bodies, maybe, but not their minds. Roland cut in saying, who knows, but storytelling always changed time, at least in his world. Roland smiled. It was unexpected, and as always, it transformed his face into something nearly beautiful. Eddie thought he could see how a girl could fall for him before the tower got a hold of him. And then, tough to see present-day Roland so shook. Also, the fact that Jake embraced him and apologized about losing Susan is pretty touching.
I'm going to change that. I love that is what it took for Roland to be able to eat, because before that, he's not able to eat.
Yeah.
Jake gives him a hug and says, hey, I'm sorry for your loss. And
Yeah. And Baraki says Jake doing that after what Roland did to him, too.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another...
That is a very good point, too.
Another layer to add in. And then let's see. Roland smiling is great, and not that common.
Nope.
Yeah.
The only thing less common than Roland smiling is Roland joking.
Yes, indeed. And Agamorph, he said earlier, I fall asleep watching TV and wake up with that same feeling.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just definitely. Yeah.
That hasn't happened to me recently.
The unplanned sleeping fucks with you every time. Yeah. Like if you're planning to go to bed and stuff, fine. But then if you wake up and it's wrong, you wake up a few hours after you fell asleep, then you're all disoriented and shit.
Have you ever had the unfortunate sleep that you're coming off of being sick and you wake up at the wrong time?
Oh yeah, happens to me all the time. Actually,
my worst one ever is I was coming off the stomach flu when in 7th grade, junior high, 7th grade. Right at the end of a term, I missed a bunch of finals and stuff like that, so there's a lot of stress with that. I finally stopped feeling sick on a Saturday or Sunday. Dude, I woke up at 6 o'clock at night, and it was winter. It was January. I woke up at 6 o'clock at night, and I'm just I have a window. I'm upstairs. I have a window. I look outside, and it's is it twilight? Is it sunrise?
Yeah.
What?
That's why the good Lord gave us military time, sir.
What?
Then you can look at the clock, and there's no confusion about which.
I feel like that might be the second most disoriented I've ever been in my life. The first one coming out of anesthesia for surgery, I didn't know what the fuck I was, or if I was human or a dog or a two-headed romp from the Traveler's Rest. I didn't know what was up or what was down.
Indeed, or a vicious child biting Billy Bumbler.
Stop the slander. Stop it. Wait, hold on. I have a button for that now.
Lies! Deceptions!
You will get that button every time you slander our second best boy.
So Susanna said it was the same in all worlds. She asked if she could ask some questions. He said if she wanted. She asked how long he was gone. He said that he was gone. He was gone, traveling, wandering, not in the glass exactly, but if it had ever if it had ever been, never would have, or if it would have been into the glass, he never would have come back. He tapped his head, saying everyone has a wizard's glass, and that's where he went. He was getting better as his friends traveled east with him in tow. The glass did not light again for him until the towers of the city were in sight. And if it had woken earlier, he shrugged and said if it had woken before he had healed, he probably wouldn't be here right now. Because even the pink world of the glass is better than a world without Susan.
Oh.
And that's a line.
Oh.
And it knew that it had to wait. So again, the sentience of the glass, very much like the mist in the TV series.
Hey, you stop it.
Jake said that when it did wake back up, it must have shown him everything else that he didn't see of the story. Roland agreed. Eddie said he told them that Farson wanted his head on a spike for taking something of his, and it was the ball, wasn't it? Roland agreed, saying he was insane with rage. Said in the words of Eddie, he went nuclear. Susanna asked how many more times it glowed for him. Jake asked what happened to it. Roland said it glowed 3 more times after they left Magus. The first was the night before they arrived back in Gilead, the time it took him the longest, and showed him the entirety of the story. A few things he guessed at, but most of it he was shown. It showed him not to teach or enlighten, but to hurt and wound. He said that all of the remaining pieces of the wizard's rainbow were evil. It waited until he was healed enough to understand and withstand, and then it showed him all the things that he missed and his young stupidity. So, yeah, that's some brutal stuff. Let's see, what am I missing in the chat here? Yes, Oy is the second best boy. First, of course, is Ermot.
No.
Yeah, that's
Ermot was not on the tournament. No, he was not.
We should do a new tournament because we know Ermot would be in there now.
No, we're not. Nope.
We
not
just
taking that from Eddie.
We just forgot.
Nope.
Let's see. And then David said, I always wonder what the town was like the very next day, which, yeah, Peter kind of asked that too, where it's like,
I imagine it's like 9/12.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people wandering around not knowing what to do. And then like the second day after, I think that's where people start.
Or you know what? Yeah, another way to think about it, the walk of shame.
Oh, yeah, after a one-night stand kind of thing?
Yeah, the walk of shame is probably the whole town felt that way. So,
yeah.
So it says it stayed dormant until they were within sight of Gilead. Wonder how stressful that was for the other two, because they don't know, right? And so they're probably wondering every fucking waking second of like, is that thing going to wake back up? So
it didn't occur to me earlier with my note that with Cuthbert saying, well, we don't know if it's awake when we're not awake.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
It was
out here, yeah.
Yeah, but they don't know that.
But they don't know that.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly what you're saying. It's like, yeah, it's stressing them out.
Yeah. Again, it's malicious, and it waited until it could fuck with him more without killing him. So again, the sentience of this thing is kind of next level. So
makes me worried what is going to happen, especially with that line about Alain is going to regret not breaking it.
Yeah, and now we know there's 3, so we don't have a ticking clock, but we got a check box. We got 3 check boxes we can tick off here.
One was the summary, one was the recap. So what's the other 2?
Yeah, exactly. So that's when it filled all the gaps of the story. Clever way for King to basically write an entire story without being stuck in the first person point of view, which would have drastically diminished his story.
Yes.
Imagine if we only saw it from Roland's perspective. This would have been a fraction of the book.
Yep.
So, and then also wild that Farson was more angry about the glass and the tankers and the oil. Guess the ball had his mind pretty much as skewed as everyone else's.
I mean, that's how Jonas acted, is that the ball mattered the most. That's why he wanted to get to Latigo and give him the damn thing, because
he
didn't want to be responsible for it.
Yeah.
Even though it hurt him to say, I'm going to give it up.
Yeah, yeah. The remaining pieces of the wizard's rainbow are evil, so were some of them not evil? That's an interesting question.
Maybe they weren't evil to begin with and became evil over time with how man used them or with how things changed. I always took it that way, is that none of them are inherently evil, but maybe they turned evil when something else was introduced to them, or when you broke the rainbow, then them by themselves, they're not with the rest of the rainbow, so now they become evil kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have like, I think this. I'm throwing out other ideas as well. So, because it is an interesting line being like, yeah, they're all fucking evil. It's like,
yeah.
Are they?
Yeah. Susanna told him not to let it keep hurting him. Roland said, but it did and always would. But the story was told now. He said the second of the last 3 times he went into the glass, and that was 3 days after coming home. His mom was in Dabaria at a retreat to wait and pray for his return, and Martin was in Crescia with Farson. Eddie said he asked, didn't his dad have it by then? Roland said no, it was hard to give up. Susanna said he and everyone who had the thing, same for him, for everyone that had the thing. He said on the third day they were going to have a banquet to celebrate their return. Eddie said he probably felt in a very partying mood, which, yeah, good point from Eddie there. Roland laughed without humor. He said around 4 o'clock, Bert and Alain came to his room, and they looked like 3 for an artist to paint. Windburned, hollow eyes, hands covered in cuts and scrapes from climbing the canyon, and scrawny as scarecrows. Alain, who had even tended towards stoutness, nearly disappeared when he turned sideways. They confronted him about the ball. They knew he had kept it secret they had kept it secret out of respect for him and the loss he had suffered, but they would tell that night at the banquet. So they're basically giving him an ultimatum here. So
yeah, you got a deadline, bro. Turn it back in.
Yeah. Good for Susanna telling him to stop letting it hurt him too.
Yeah, it is. I do understand Roland saying it's always going to hurt him. There are some things that you just can't let go. You can't ever forget. Like, yes, it happened 15 years ago. It happened 20 years ago. It happened 5,000 years ago for Roland.
Yeah.
But, at the end of the day, it happened. It's a part of you. It's a matter of coping with it versus trying to forget.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. And then, sure, Martin is with Farson. Sure. And then good point by Eddie. Roland is probably still wrecked. Banquet was probably not his biggest desire.
Yeah, no kidding. No fucking kidding, right?
Yeah, and then don't agree with the other two about keeping it secret. I think that's a stupid move by them. They should have said something immediately, in my opinion. They know how dangerous it is. Like, you've got to fucking say something.
It isn't a permanent move. It's out of respect for Roland and his loss kind of thing.
That's it. You've seen what it's done to him twice now. Like, just don't. I mean, maybe more, depending on if they were there for
I wonder if they
or 3 times.
If those two go without Roland being the one to give it up, I wonder if that affects Roland negatively, is what they're thinking.
Maybe, but
not only mentally with, like, taking the ball from him because he's addicted and stuff like that, but also with the gunslingers. Well, why didn't he give it to me?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Yeah, I just think that's it's not looking out, man. You got to look out for your boy.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's what they're trying to do here, is not.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Instantly fuck him over by being like, hey, he's keeping secrets.
Yeah.
Get him.
Yeah,
kind of thing. So
swarm.
Yeah.
If he did not give it up willingly, it would be for their fathers to figure out. He said he would give it to his dad before the banquet, and they could come early to witness it. Bert said it would not be necessary, but Roland said that it was. Eddie said, yeah, anyone can go into the bathroom, but it's easier to flush the junk when someone's with you. Alain knew it would be easier for Roland to hand over if he didn't have to do it alone, and hushed Bert and said that they would be there. They were there, and Roland's dad was white as a sheet when he saw what was in the bag, excused himself, took it away, came back with some wine, and began asking about their adventures as if nothing happened. It's a very peculiar response. Jake said, but before that, he traveled in it again and asked what it showed him. He said first the tower again and the beginning of the way there. It showed him the fall of Gilead and the triumph of Farson. They had delayed it, but no more than 20 months. So, yeah. It showed him a poison dagger that was strong enough to kill with the slightest cut, and it was there to be handed off to an assassin who would kill Stephen before the next morning. And it was, I think, a cook that had it. And then Roland smiled and said because of the glass, the assassin never saw the knife, and the chef, who was the middleman, needed to be replaced. And it said Jake asked if he saw anything else. The murder plot of Stephen held little interest for him, which... that's interesting to me that Jake just doesn't care. Roland said yes.
Happens all the time in Gilead, probably.
Yeah. Roland said yes. Shoes tumbling through the air.
What?
Yeah. I love Alain holding firm on being there. He gets how dangerous it is, so he's just like, no, Alain, or Cuthbert, fuck off. No, we're gonna be there. Like, don't get fucking cute about it. Like, no, we're gonna be there because we need to see that it's happening.
Good on Roland to suggest it first off.
No, yeah, 100%. Stephen getting super shook and then disappearing with it and coming back and changing the subject is kind of wild. Like, that's just a weird.
What?
That's a weird thing. So Roland sees the tower again and the fall of Gilead, which only is delayed by 20 months. That's fucking brutal.
It is.
So, and the other thing too is we knew that like that might fudge it out to where we maybe have another 2 years after this before it completely falls. Because like I would say that most likely the tankers are being moved and that battle is going to be happening within like 6 to 8 months of of Magus. So yeah, you're talking about we're probably 2 years until it's completely gone. So Roland's 16 probably when it all goes to shit. Then the assassin's plot, interesting that would show Roland that it really is chaotic in what it the things it likes to upset. But that's probably part of its lore, make you think that it's useful enough to keep its hooks in you. It's like, oh yeah, see, I'll show you this thing to save your dad's life. So then like it might keep you like going back to it, right? It's like that's the drug. That's like let me not just destroy you and hurt you, but let me also throw you some bones to where you're gonna like lock in.
It's easy for us to understand. It never shows good. It only shows chaos. It only shows chaos and sorrow. It isn't showing things that have good outcomes. It always ends in pain and suffering. So when you think about it, who's the person who has chiefly been using the pink ball recently? Farson. What is Farson doing? Destroying the world.
Yeah.
So it's just like, it's one of those things that like hindsight's 2020. We can see the pattern, but them using the ball can't see it because they're too close.
Yeah.
Also, they're under the spell.
Yeah, indeed. And then Jake is looking ahead a bit, it seems. It seems like he's more interested in what Roland may have seen that might help them. So Detta, in Susan's mind, thinks that... Susanna's mind thinks he told them about the knife, but not the people because he wanted to handle that part himself. But before she could ask, Eddie asked his own question. He asked about the shoes flying through the air. He asked if that meant anything to him now. Roland shook his head. Susanna asked him to tell them the rest of what it showed him. He looked grave. He looked as grave, and pained that her suspicions were solidified. That the rest of what it showed was not great. She looked away and took Eddie's hand. He told her he could not tell them that, not now. He has told them all he can for now. Eddie said that's cool. Oi repeated "ool," and Jake asked if he ever saw Rhea again. For a long time, Roland seemed that he would not answer, but eventually did, and said yes, she was not done with him. Like his dreams of Susan, Rhea followed him all the way from Magus, which that's not a happy thought.
No.
That is not a happy thought at all. Jake asked what he meant. Roland said not now. It was time to get going, and nodded at the building, saying that was a ways away, but they could reach it by afternoon if they moved briskly. He said that it was best to, because he would not want to reach such things after nightfall if it could be avoided. Susanna asked if he knew what it was yet, and he said trouble and in our road. So that is the end of the subchapter there, and the end of the episode when it comes to what we're covering. And in my notes here, Detta, always a pleasure.
Yeah.
And then so the shoes never contextualized in his journey from the childhood till now. So yeah, probably something that we're gonna be seeing in the future would be my guess, because we've already seen some stuff that's flown throughout time. So
and then my note here leaving us with 2 unanswered questions: the murder plot and the shoes.
Yeah. So the rest of the story will have to wait. I don't blame Roland. It's been a lot for him to relive. And then Rhea followed him. I know not literally, or at least I hope not.
I hope so.
I mean, yeah, maybe you can deal with her and just take her out or whatever.
That
but
would be
my
pleasant.
God. Let's see. Forgot that no one knows what's ahead of them, and with Roland's, with the fact this building, because it's been so long now, we've probably haven't dealt with that since like September, August of 2023. So, with Roland's sight, he probably maybe has a little bit more of an idea of what it is. But what a sinister way to leave off the episode.
Yeah.
So, good stuff. Some notes in the chat. Be good montage for Flanagan. Let's see. There's a lot of good notes in the chat, but we are out of time. So let's
Best King Animal March Insanity 2027.
Best King Animal. I think we mentioned that one at some point, but yeah, we might take note of that.
I know who's winning that one.
Well, Oi is not even in the competition.
No,
if it's a king poll, yeah.
If it's a king poll, yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
that means Ermot's not in it either.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
All right. So if you want to, subscribe to us on your podcasting service of your choice, you can do that. You can stream us on Spotify, Amazon Music, or Audible. Join us for the live streams here at youtube.com/darktowerpalaver. Like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications. Show notes are at darktowerpalaver.com. The March Insanity is still going for a few more days. darktowerpalaver.com/March Insanity.
We're in the finals.
In the finals. Yep, indeed. And then if you want to support the show, you can do that at patreon.com/darktowerpalaver. And then if you want to reach out to us, Peter can let you know the ways to do that.
Go ahead and email us at show@darktowerpalaver.com. Threads and Instagram is darktowerpalaver, all one word. at darktowerpalaver.bsky.social for our Blue Sky. Our Twitter is at darktowerpod. That's at darktowerpod. Facebook.com/darktowerpalaver for that. And then tpublic.com/user/darktowerpalaver for some merch.
Indeed. And yeah, we'll be back in a fortnight for the next roundtable. And then, yeah, we will pick right back up here the second week of April for the next part of this, seeing what's ahead of us here with this building on the distance. So
Yep.
Until then, we'll sign off as we always do by saying long days and pleasant nights.
Long days and pleasant nights, folks.
All right, everyone in the chat, thank you guys for joining us. Thanks for being part of the conversation. You guys are awesome. Yeah, tough episode, but we got through it and no tears. So
It was hard.
yeah, it was. I mean, for you, I mean, I don't have tear ducts, so
No, you don't.
I mean, my eyes water.
You don't have a heart. That's why you don't cry.
All right. Well, yeah, we'll see you guys. Long days and pleasant nights. And yeah, can't wait for some roundtable action.
We need to talk more about what you said about Rhea and not Rhea, but the ball starting rolling on the.
Take note of that.
We need to.
We can talk about
We
that in the
need to.
roundtable. So, all right. See you guys.
Bye.